Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dragon's Lair in association with the Riverside Sports Bar, home of live sport and great burgers in Newport. With me, as always, is Gavin Thomas. Hello, Gavin.
Evening.
We have Dragon's new head of marketing with us, Gareth Leclerc. Hello, Gareth.
Dickhead.
J-
Yeah, all good.
J-Lo, the J-Lo of Gwent Rugby.
I knew I'd get some shit for it. I've had enough off my brother.
Well,
He's
you've
been
been on
publicly so nice to me.
he has been really nice to you on the socials, but you've been on the Dragon socials channels yet again, haven't you, Gareth?
Yeah.
I have indeed.
Yeah, telling your life story on the terrace.
My life story condensed into 3 minutes. Yeah, it was
Gareth from
nice
the
to be
block.
asked, though, to be fair. Yeah, it was good fun.
To be fair, you were very good. I'm not just saying that now. I'm not taking the piss. You were very good in that video.
Cheers. It's a bit daunting when the camera gets shoved in your face. To be fair, it's a bit different to when you're just doing this on Zoom.
Yeah, it's a bit intimidating when there's a camera.
It is a little bit, yeah.
No, but to be fair, mate, you did really, really well. And you didn't come across as a cringy fanboy either, which I think is easy to do. Some people would be a cringy fanboy.
Even though I am one.
Well, you are at times. At times you are, but on this occasion, you wasn't a cringy fanboy. You spoke really well, I thought. I mean, you were good. You were
Cheers,
really, really
mate.
good. Yes. So, we had a question about this as well from James Rees, so we all know. He's asking, has Gav become more or less of a diva over the course of the season, his ego growing proportionally to his fame? What do you think of that? What's the answer to that?
Of course he is. He's the J-Lo of Welsh rugby podcasting now.
I mean, it doesn't help that I turned up late for this pod, so
Yeah.
Yes,
you
the
work on
diva
my time
behaviour.
now. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
Wearing a fur coat that you've taken off now. You had a fur coat and 2 chihuahuas in your hand.
Oh yeah, the diva behaviour started already, turning up late.
Dear me.
This feels like when Robbie Williams outgrew Take That. This is how it feels like. I feel like you're going to go solo, Gav. You're going to have your own podcast,
Well,
and
piss
your own
off.
social
Moving
channel.
on. All right.
No, mate, only joke. You did really well in this video. So, yeah, well done on doing that because it's not easy. Like I said, when you got a camera pointing at you and thinking of answers on the spot. So, yeah, you did well.
Yes.
Right, so this is our last pod of the season, chaps. And we're going to be doing a season review. We're also going to be dishing out some awards. And to help us do that, we have a freelance journalist who's been covering the Dragons for the South Wales Argus, Iestyn Thomas. Hello, Iestyn. Welcome to the Dragon's Lair. How are we?
I'm all good. Thank you for the invite, and that's quite a nice introduction, actually. And I'll more than happily take it.
Excellent. We won't tell anyone that you're an Osprey supporter. Your secret's safe with us, Iestyn, so don't worry about that. Oops! Oh no, I've let the carry out the bag. Sorry, sorry.
I think far too many people know that fact, but I just have to admit that the writing has to do the talking now. So it's part and parcel of the job.
I've agreed to be on the pod with you there, yes, and so you're fine. And kind of my views about Ospreys have slipped out occasionally.
Well, if you're looking for someone to blame, you can blame my dad. He was the major influence when I was growing up, and I think I've neutralized myself a little bit, but I'm sure you'll have the odd comment here and there.
Well,
That's
my
absolutely
dad
fine.
supported Neath despite coming from Tredegar, so there's no rhyme, no reason to stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, my dad's from Aberdeen and he supported Neath, so it kind of checks out kind of everywhere, really.
Yeah, fair enough. But can you be biased though? Sorry, can you be balanced? We know you're going to be biased, but can you be balanced? Do you think?
I hope so. Well, this is the perfect tester, I think.
Yeah, you're not going to be John Fox balanced, do you? Like he was on Premier Sports, commentated on the Scarlets and Dragons.
He had a bit of stick, didn't he? New Year's Day. That was one of the things I remember.
You did a bit, yeah.
He took some flack from the terraces, but I'll try my best to remain as balanced as possible. Obviously, the viewers can decide wherever I am or not.
Yeah, it's just his commentary on that Scarlet's Dragon game was absolutely hilarious, proper one-eyed Turk nonsense. So yeah, if you could leave your Ospreys bias at the door, Iestyn, for this one, it would be appreciated. Right, have you all got your drinks ready? Because this is awards night. Gavin, got a drink?
I do.
What have you got then?
I have Schulferhofer,
Ooh,
which is a unfiltered Hefeweizen beer mixed with grapefruit juice drink. It's a shandy, essentially. It's fancy German shandy. But it's my summer drink of choice because it's only 2.5%. and we had a barbecue today, and you can have a couple, and yeah, you're not really drinking a lot, and it tastes like lilt.
Oh, I
Ooh.
love lilt.
Yeah, there's a watermelon one as well, which is great with a curry because it's got a mint thing in it, and it just takes the edge off your curry a bit. The pineapple one, though, is like eating sweets.
Yeah. Do you remember the lilt advert with the lilt man?
Yeah,
And he was
totally
driving.
tropical
Yeah, he
taste.
was driving
Yeah,
around in our family.
yeah.
Totally tropical taste lilt. They
Yeah.
don't make them like that anymore today. They don't make them like that anymore.
I wonder why. What it actually tastes like is a drink called Ting. But if you've ever drunk Ting, which is like Lilt but far more grapefruity, and made by the people who make Red Stripe.
Oh, okay. I love Red Stripe. Gareth, what have you got?
Standard bottle of Peroni.
Lovely stuff.
Cheers.
That's a solid choice. Yeah. Iestyn, I know you don't drink alcohol, but what have you got?
Yeah, I'm not sure why everyone came to me last, but I've got a soft drink of Dr. Pepper. I thought I'd push the boat out a bit to go with the soft drinks, and that's what I ended up with.
Dr. Pepper's fine, mate. What's the
Yeah,
worst that
it's
could
still a
happen?
strong choice.
Have you tried the cherry one? The cherry Dr. Pepper. That is banging.
Yes, I have, yeah.
Yeah. That's really nice. I've got Tiny Rebel beer, which won't surprise you, but it's called Paper Planes. Got it from Morrison's today. I haven't tried it before. It's 6%, so I gotta be careful. Yeah, I shall let you know what it's like.
What
Cheers,
kind of
everybody.
beer is it?
It's a IPA,
Oh,
like a New
okay.
England IPA. So,
Oh,
like I
do
said,
like
I've
a
never had
later.
it before. I don't know what it's gonna be like. It could be shit. I don't know, but I do love Tiny Rebel, so
You can't go
should
far
do
wrong
it.
with a Nipah either. They tend to be
No.
the best of the IPAs.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Right. So, did you know this is our 99th episode of the pod?
Oof.
99 episodes of doing this, Gav. Can you believe it?
When we started it, we were like, I'm not convinced anyone's going to listen to this. And here we
No.
are, nearly 100 episodes later.
So, I'll tell you what I did the other day, Gav. I listened to our first ever episode.
Really?
Yeah. 29th of September, 2023. The sound was terrible on that pod. Not you. You sounded fine. It was me. I sounded awful. I sounded like I was recording from an abandoned shipping container. So I don't know what headset I was using at the time, but I used to record the pod on the iPads back then. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But the sound from my end was terrible. But
You used to have your Apple earphones.
oh, the earpods, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I did. So yeah, but I just thought I'd listen back to our very first episode. But the pod has changed, but for the better, I think. Ever since Robbie Williams come on board, now this pod
Yeah.
is growing places. So we've got much better now. Right, let's start as we always do then with News Desk. So Dragons confirmed the signing of Samoa international scrum half Iestyn from the Hurricanes. The 28-year-old has made 58 Super Rugby appearances. He has 10 caps for Samoa, and he's previously played for the Crusaders and Moana Pacifica. Inari said, after 10 years of provincial and Super Rugby in New Zealand, my wife and I are looking forward to stepping into a new season in Wales. There are some familiar faces there, which will be awesome, but also we can't wait to make new connections with teammates, partners, and the Dragon supporters. So yeah, we knew we was going to have an overseas scrum half because Niall Armstrong had left, and it's Iestyn from the Hurricanes. So yes, and let's start with you there because I know you watch a lot of Super Rugby, don't you? Is this a good signing for the Dragons? I think so far, out of the signings we've made, I know we've only made a handful. I think this is probably the best signing we've made. Would you say?
I think it is as well. And you might look at it on the surface and you're thinking, oh, the Dragons are signing a second choice scrum half from the Hurricanes. That doesn't sound too good. But let's put some more context to it. Is the first choice Hurricanes scrum half is Cam Roigard, who's
That's right, yeah.
who's a Test All Black. And from whenever you see Inari kind of come on and make cameo appearances, or when he starts games, he looks quite controlled, and he's made a couple of starts over the last couple of weeks for the Canes, and whenever he's come off the bench, you kind of see him dictating what he can bring as well. Okay, it's quite hard to read when he's coming off the bench, and the Canes are sometimes this season when they've been playing so well so far out in front, but he kind of adds his own dynamic to it as well. So I think compared to the signings already made, this is probably the best one, but it's a good sign, and it should provide quite a bit of competition as well, and useful to bring in someone with that experience of playing regularly in Super Rugby and a Samoan international, especially with Che Hope injured. So it should provide a bit of competition once Hope is back up and running again.
Yeah, I think this is the best signing we've made so far. Gavin, you watched this performance, didn't you? I think it was against the Highlanders, wasn't it,
I
when he
did, yes.
started? He did pretty well, didn't he? He was impressed.
I really liked him. He was, as Iestyn said, he was really controlled. His decision making is kind of sharp. He keeps the fences on their toes because he's quite big as well, isn't he? He's probably about 6 foot. So I think he's a bit of a physical threat as well. No, I was impressed with him, and I looked at his highlight reels on line, and he looks good in what I've seen of that. For Samoa, he brings a bit of zip. He's got a nice bit of edge to him.
Yeah.
I was impressed. He certainly looked the most impressive of the ones we've signed so far.
We'll come on to recruitment over a bit later. But Gareth, what do you make of this signing? Because we both love Niall Armstrong, don't we? Do you feel this is an upgrade, or how are you feeling about this signing?
Yeah, I do think it is. I think Niall did really well first, and there was a bit of confusion in the fan base when he's let go. But looking at this, Niall came here with 20 games for Exeter under his belt in pro rugby. This guy's got 50 games in Super Rugby, and he's playing for a top of the table team. He looks good. I'm not going to pretend to watch a lot of Super Rugby, but I did watch that game the other day when he played, and like the guys have said, looked really controlled. Took his try well, bit of aggression to get over the line, and I thought it was interesting. Sam Vesti, the Northampton Saints attack coach, who thinks pretty brilliant, to be fair, was going on about how much nines dictate attack these days and speed of ball. And I think we've seen that with Shea Hope this season, just getting to a ruck and firing it away, whether the place was sort of set or not, and really dictating tempo. And we've sort of had a drop off without Shea. So I think it's really good. Hopefully the two of them can, keep the levels up, and, hopefully it helps Shea Hope kick on another level, because it's not going to be easy to retain his jersey when he's back from injury. So yeah, really pleased with it. I think it's a good signing, and
He looks a different kind of player to Shea, though, doesn't he? He brings a different kind of energy.
Yeah, and I think you need that, don't you? But I think he's at the quality to be fighting to be first choice for us, which is really good. And I think if one of the other regions had been signing a scrum half with international experience, 7 All Blacks under 20s caps as well, and 50 Super Rugby games, you'd be thinking, I wish that was the type of player we were signing. So yeah, pretty pleased with it.
So Tia said this: Evie will be determined to make a big impression in a new competition as he competes with the likes of Shea Hope and Roger Williams. He'll also be keen to help our academy players and the next generation of talent we have coming through. So the reason I've said this quote is because there has been a bit of discourse on social media about what this means for Shea Hope and Morgan Lloyd, which, I'm sure you guys have seen as well. A lot of people saying, well, what about Shea Hope? What about Morgan Lloyd? And I think, well, what about them? It's competition for places, isn't it? And surely having an experienced international in the setup could help develop their games. Do you think this spells bad news for people like Morgan Lloyd and Shea Hope? Where does it leave them? Do you understand the discourse, or do you think it's just a bit OTT as usual? Because we do have this tendency in Wales, don't we, to, as soon as an overseas player comes in, it's like a Simpsons meme. Would someone please think of the young Welsh talent? It's just a bit silly. It's always the same. How do we feel about that?
Well, it's a meritocracy in there. Elite sport is a meritocracy.
Yeah.
And you get the best players you can to win as many games as you possibly can. I think for me, it's between him and Shea for the start in nine's position. I think Rodri's the one who's going to miss out. Yeah, and then I imagine Morgan Lloyd's actually going to get drafted in more regularly for some games. And I think we'll just see Rodri taking more of a back seat, if I'm honest.
But it's just interesting that Philo said he competes with the likes of Shea Hope and Roger Williams. He doesn't actually mention Morgan Lloyd, whereas I probably would have said Shea Hope and Morgan Lloyd.
Yeah.
Because I actually see Morgan Lloyd now above Rodri in a pecking order.
Yeah, so do I.
To be honest, I think Morgan Lloyd's a very good player, and there will be injuries as well, won't there? That's the thing. There will be injuries, so I'm sure Morgan Lloyd will get opportunities, and Shea Hope is probably always going to be in a match day 23. But yeah, I think it's good news. He looks a decent signing. Do any of you have Iestyn or Gareth any thoughts on what we just said?
I just think if, people worried about the young Welsh talent, well, if you're good enough, you'll step up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And that's the bar we need to have. And hopefully they do make it. But if they're not good enough, then they were never going to get anywhere, even if Inawi was there or not. So I think it's, like Gab said, you just want the best players possible in the squad, and let's just keep raising that bar.
fair enough. Iestyn, any thoughts or?
Yeah, it's just kind of to echo what everyone has kind of said. It's just if for example Morgan Lloyd was kind of that regular scrum half, and you can kind of see he's probably maybe a little bit too young, then you're thinking, oh well, why aren't the Dragons signing someone from, well, signing someone more experienced, someone like that to kind of come in, and then they do that, and then you still got that discourse of people saying, "Oh,
Yeah,
why aren't you giving the young Welsh kid a shot?" So
yeah,
it should be good for Morgan Lloyd's development. It'll be really competitive for J Hope as well. So it should be a good signing across the board, especially with the younger lads coming through and being involved in the same environment as an international test scrum half.
yeah. I agree with all the points made. Absolutely. So let's talk about recruitment just for a little bit then, right? Because I got some thoughts on our recruitment. So the recruitment so far is Anselmo Tuatavuki, Terrell Pataya, Kyle Parry from RGC, and Irianari, as we just talked about. And this is just my opinion, now my personal opinion. If that's our recruitment drive done, then I think that's pretty underwhelming, if I'm being honest. I do feel very underwhelmed by our recruitment. You look at the other teams. So Cardiff, they've signed Scott Seal, really good signing. Scarlets are on the verge of signing an All Black. Cullen Grace from the Crusaders, that'll be a really good signing. Ospreys, as you know, yesterday being linked with Wallabies players, some really good players there. Whereas we've signed a winger from the Pro D2, a back row who's played just one game of Super Rugby in his career, and we got a guy who's playing second fiddle to Cam Roigard. So we've mostly signed fringe players. Now, I'm not saying they're bad players, so this is poor recruitment, but I'm underwhelmed, boys. So far, I am underwhelmed by recruitment. Are those players good enough to get Dragons out the bottom two in the league? That's my question. Are they going to elevate and push this squad further, our recruitment? Because I'll be honest, you know what Shania Twain once said, that don't impress me much. I'm underwhelmed. I'm not
I
feeling the
think
buzz.
No.
I think our recruitment this time last year was much, much better because we were signing top end players, really good players. This year, I'm disappointed. Like I said, if that's our recruitment done, because we don't expect more than 4 or 5 players, that's very underwhelming for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the players themselves who we've signed. I think the winger is going to be a good pickup for us. I think he's the profile that we need on the wing. We need a bit more power
Yeah,
out wide, and he's a left-footed kicking option, which I think is going to be really important for us. We don't have one in the back line at the moment. And he's scoring tries. Granted, it's Pro D2, but Pro D2 is still a good level, and he's scoring a lot of tries there. I'm
yeah,
happy with him. Happy with the 9. Kyle Parry, one for the future, hopefully, and we'll see how the 8 goes. Obviously, there's no replacing Wayne now. It's not the quality of the players that I'm worried about that we brought in. I think they're good players. It's just I would have liked a couple more. But we know the situation at 10. Close to signing Jared Evans, and he's chosen to go to Cardiff. Yet to be confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that's happening. And then who's left for us to sign? There was no one out there who's Welsh and available for us to go and get. So we were struggling to then go and get back up at 10. And, you still got to think the situation in Wales is not ideal to be attracting players. If you're a big burly lock that we might have spoken to elsewhere, but you've got offers in England or somewhere else, we're not the easiest sell, sadly, because there is still so much uncertainty. And you've got to think as well, a lot of these conversations, they don't happen now. They happen in October, November, December in a season. And at that point, we were shit. We hadn't won any games. Different story if you can sell, look, we were in a big semi-final, and look, we went on this run of wins, and and we actually showed improvements. You think if we can have a good season or good start to the season coming, we should hopefully be in a better position when we're talking to players to go, look, we have actually made strides and we're kicking on. hopefully will look a little bit more attractive.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? I think our history and reputation really harms us. It's
Yeah,
very difficult, and let's be honest about it. We're all Dragons fans, well, apart from me, Iestyn, but let's let's be honest. We know we're a hard sell because we're not a good team, and
yeah,
it's really hard to attract top end players. Like I get what you're saying about the uncertainty, Gav. I get that, but I do think with the Dragons, it's much more difficult because of our reputation. It's really hard to attract top end players to a struggling team. However, I felt last season we did a really good job of doing that. I thought we signed some
we did.
very
Yeah,
good
yeah,
players. You know, Paya, Thomas Young, Seb Davis, De Beer. These were all really good players. Finney and EC, the list is endless. I thought our recruitment drive was really strong. And I don't think it's strong, actually, so far. I'm underwhelmed by it. Like I said, I'm not saying these are poor players. And I get the struggles that Dragons will have of attracting top end players to a club like the Dragons. But I don't know. Gavin, are you excited by any of these players? Be
No,
honest.
in a word, no.
No.
Uh, I think they're all good players. Well, Terrell at the back row. I'm not sure yet because I saw 10 minutes of him playing for the Blues. So,
Yeah.
it's hard to make a judgment. The others, yeah, Kale Parry looks good. And
But he's raw, isn't he? He's
yeah,
untested and raw.
but I still think we could do with another front rower. We could do with a 10. We could do with another back free option.
Mm. Yes, what about your opinion on these players? You know, speaking from someone from the outside, what do you make of the Dragons' recruitment so far?
I think, considering with the quality leaving, obviously the big one being Rainwright, you're kind of thinking you probably might have expected the bigger name, no disrespect
Yes.
to
Oh no,
the
yeah.
Blues back row, but kind of maybe thinking of someone, a big name to kind of fill in that replacement job. Of course, the back row is still quite young, so hopefully he'll kick on and develop over a season or two. But I think if you look at the departures, you've got someone like Niall Armstrong, you think Inari's a better player, and then you kind of look maybe probably could bolster the front row somewhere, dependent on potentially Rob Hunt's fitness going into next season. You're kind of thinking if he's fit, you might not lose that much of a factor, but you could probably thinking, oh, he could probably do an extra front row. But then I think the key point from this season, as Gareth mentioned about the uncertainty, is about retaining players. And I think on the whole, the Dragons have done, I think all of us clubs, in fairness, have done a good job in retaining as many as they could have done.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think that's probably the important thing going into the next season is just to make sure that, okay, you might not be firing at all cylinders straight away, but you've got a core squad of players ready to go, matched in the 23, ready to go going into next season. And then potentially, touch wood, hopefully the uncertainty comes to a close and you can see the Dragons and all the clubs building on top of that then. And you might think, okay, recruitment might not have been brilliant this year, but next season there'll be a better plan in place to, hey, hopefully recruit more depth or B, recruit better players. And that's the hope for me, is that kind of across the board in Welsh rugby, just that hopefully this season isn't what a sign of things to come. Is hopefully the uncertainty moves out the way very soon, which is okay, probably a bit unlikely, but it's a platform for it to kick on, and then hopefully the recruitment drive picks up again then for the following season.
Yeah. Fair comments. I think for me though, I'm a little bit concerned that we're not signing another 10. And that's, well, we don't know that for certain, but Gareth, you heard on the grapevine out in Montpellier, that's the case, didn't you? That it's highly likely that we're not going to sign a 10.
yeah. Just because it would have to be Welsh because we've already got a non-Welsh qualified 10 there, and there's
Okay.
just no one on the market essentially worth signing. It'd be essentially another kid to take a chance on, but we've got that in the squad anyway.
Mm. I think it's a problem, actually. I
It
really do.
is an issue because if Tinas is out,
Yeah.
we're struggling, aren't we?
So I think Dragons are at risk of repeating the same mistake they made a few years ago with Sam Davis. So Sam Davis came to the Dragons from the Ospreys. Big signing for the club at the time. That was a really big signing. And for the first 18 months, he made a big impact. Really good player. But then his form dipped. And the problem was he didn't have any competition for his place whatsoever. So he just ended up playing every single week. Sam Davis was playing every game because he had no competition. And that had a real negative impact because the more he played, the worse he got. And he was even playing when he wasn't fully fit. I can remember reading in the Argus about that, he's 100%, but we're still playing him because there's just no other options. And then he was getting pelters from fans then, and I think that's when I started to feel a bit sorry for him. So what happens if Tinas is out? Well, we know that Angus is probably going to slot in there. Fine, but he's better at 15. Angus is not a 10 in my opinion.
No,
He's
he's not.
better at 15. The other option is, God forbid, putting Kai Evans at 10. Well, that just doesn't work for a number of reasons. Or you're looking at someone like Jack Lloyd or Harry Ford, one of the youngsters then. So it's a problem. If Tinas gets injured, it's there's no real quality option to step in. I know Angus is good at 10. He could do a job at 10, but I want an experienced backup. And I hate the idea of relying on Tinas every single week now, because that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. Because it wasn't good for Sam Davis, and it's not going to be good for Tinas, and that's my concern. So,
and then when if we do rest him, it tends to be when there's mass rotation.
Yes.
And then I do feel a bit for Jack Lloyd when he was thrown in, say away at Glasgow when we rested everyone. And he's on a bit of a hide into nothing because he's certainly a boy with a lot of talent, but he's not being put in a team that's quite stable and hopefully getting some fun football. So it's tough to see how good he is, really. I'd like to see him have a go in a stronger Dragon side.
But you're saying Dragons can't find like a Welsh qualified scrum half. They need to borrow James Davis from the Scarlets for a week as their recruitment manager, because Scarlets are very good at picking up Kiwi players with Welsh heritage, and they turn out to be pretty good. So maybe we need to do a little bit more digging, be a bit more smart, do a bit more homework, and find a Kiwi or South African who does actually have a Welsh granddad or something,
There's bound to be someone, isn't there?
Exactly, yes. There's always someone out there. So when they say, oh, there's no one out there, I'm like, no, have you tried, though? Have you really tried? There must be someone out there, Welsh qualified, on the market, experienced backup 10. There's got to be one.
Bryn Gatland? Wasn't he Welsh qualified?
No.
Wasn't he?
No. Well, why would he be Welsh qualified? Because his
don't know.
dad worked in Wales.
His dad coached Wales, that's right, yeah.
Oh, fuck, I've looked the right tit, yeah. I'm sure he was. Oh, maybe not then. Dear me.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
No, he isn't.
Yeah, that's my concern. Like I said, I'm not overly enthused about the recruitment, and the lack of a 10 I do find concerning. And when I read out the listeners' comments in our mailbox, a lot of listeners, a lot of our supporters are saying they want a backup 10, and it looks like we're not going to sign one. And I think that's a mistake from the Dragons. I think they need to work a bit harder to try and get one in personally. So, that's my thoughts on it. Moving on then, Shane Lewis-Hughes, he signed a new deal. Stay at Ronnie Parade, the 28-year-old has so far made 36.
Good news.
Indeed, 36 Dragons appearances, scoring 4 tries. Shane said, the boys have been a pleasure to work with since being here. It's been really good to see how far we've come as a team this year. And hopefully, he says, we can keep on improving into next season. I'm sure you'll all agree this is good news. I think Shane has been a very solid, if unspectacular, signing for the Dragons, hasn't he, since he come from Cardiff?
He's the kind of player you want in your squad, though. He's a fairly consistent 7 out of 10 player, isn't he?
He's one of our best players the season before this. And he had a few knocks this season. But he's one of those, I think he's driving standards in training, and he's called Crazy Shane. I think he's a bit of a
Crazy Shane.
Bit of an animal. And I think he's pretty dedicated. I think he's in pre-season at the moment. So he's good. But it's another one, like Iestyn, you mentioned retaining players. These players are going to cost us more. We got Shane Lewis on a bit of a steal. And he's performed really well. He's going to be costing more. Players like Woodman and Shea Hope were signing contracts. It's going to be eating into the budget as well, isn't it? So that'll have an impact.
Yeah. Iestyn, decent retainment, isn't it? Keeping Shane Lewis-Hughes.
Yeah,
is that a player you rate highly?
Yeah, kind of a lot of the Dragons back row, kind of whenever they're all kind of scrapping out for places, particularly between Lewis-Hughes and Woodman at 6, you're kind of thinking, there's not much really in it at the minute. Yes, okay, Woodman's probably a bit younger and can develop up to possibly the next level, but the consistency kind of brings week in, week out. You gotta be pleased with re-signings like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So good news. Like I say, he's a solid player, really good squad player. Right then, the URC fixtures have been released. Isn't it good now they're getting released earlier? Do you remember the days where they used
Yeah.
to be like released a couple of weeks before the season started? It used to be really
I
late
was
there.
shocked when these were released, to be fair. It's brilliant.
Can you see the fixture list on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So for those watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Spotify, you'll see the fixture list on the screen. So Dragons will kick off the new season playing Wayne Pivax Benetton away. Friday, September the 25th at 7:45 p.m. Reece Patchell, former Dragons coach, of course, has gone to Benetton, so that'll be an interesting one. October is a pretty big month for the Mynydde Gwent. So Dragons face the Scarlets on Saturday, October the 3rd at 3 p.m. That's nice. 3 p.m. kickoff. A big fan of that. Opening up our first home game with a derby. I'm in favour of that. 6 days later, then the Ospreys come to Newport on Friday night, October the 9th. Then the teams will play each other again, this time at St. Helens. It's actually happening, Iestyn. We're going to be playing at St. Helens. That's good news. Saturday, October the 24th. And then we finish October with a home game against Zebra, which is a must-win as far as I'm concerned. No games in November because of the international period. And then in December, we go away to Edinburgh. That's on the 4th. That's a tough one. Then we have a double header with the WRU. We got the Arms Park on the 19th of December, and then we play the WRU on Boxing Day at Rodney Parade. So yeah, very interesting first block of the season. So here's the thing. On the one hand, this is a much better spread of home and away fixtures than we've had for a while. Because Dragons have been shafted for the past couple of seasons with too many home games crammed into the first block. And that was reported back to the club. But as you know, Gareth, you was there in our Q&A. Remember what Rhys Blumberg said to us? He said teams at the bottom of the table get bum deal, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. We're always at the bottom. We're always in the bottom too. So we always get a bum deal. But on this occasion, much better spread of home and away fixtures. That's the good news. However, I would argue that this is a very unkind fixture list for the Dragons. And the second half of the season is absolutely brutal. So I just got bad vibes already. I'm trying to be positive going into the new season. But you look at who we got. We got Leinster away. That's a write-off, isn't it? Let's be honest.
What date is our Leinster game?
23rd of January.
Yeah, they'll still have their internationals then, won't they?
Yeah, I don't even know if it matters if they have their internationals or not, Gav. Whenever we play Leinster, let's be honest, it's always tough. And then we got two home games. We got Munster and Ulster. That's tough. Right? And it doesn't get any easier. They got to go to South Africa then. They got to play the Bulls. Ouch. That's probably going to be a 50, 60 pointer. And then we got the Sharks. And then we come home to face Glasgow Warriors. Then we got to go away to Connacht, which is a very difficult away trip. And then we finish with two home games, which are Lions, winnable, I think, and the Stormers. That is a nasty second half for the season. A real nasty. And I didn't realise it at the time, but the more I look at this fixture list, the more I'm thinking that second half of the season is going to be absolutely brutal. And if they start picking up injuries, if they don't get the wins to the first half, I think it's going to be a very difficult season for the Dragons, and I could just see another bottom two finish with 2 or 3 wins. So they have got to start winning a few games in that first block, because I think if they don't get any wins in that first block, or if they don't get enough wins, I think they're struggling for the rest of the season. What do you think of it?
Realistically, we need to win every one of those home games in that first half.
The problem is, though, we never beat the WRU, do we? We never beat Cardiff.
No, but realistically, if we look at that second half of the season, if we don't want to be scrambling around the bottom, we need to win them all.
You're right. Do you know the other thing I hate about this fixture list as well? Is the amount of Welsh derbies that have been crammed into the first block. So after Scarlets, which is on the 2nd of January, there's no other Welsh derbies for the rest of the season. No other Welsh derbies to look forward to. It's all been crammed into the first half. So I think that's very disappointing. But yeah, this fixture list, man, I think it's really unkind to us. I really do. Gareth, what do you make of the fixture list?
Yeah, I mean, the second half looks tough because, we're not playing the other Welsh teams and we are all the weaker sides, really.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the double headers. When we've got the Ospreys double header, I'm glad we've got Ospreys home first and then going away. But then I'm very unhappy that we play Cardiff away before we play them home on Boxing Day. So I'm not a fan of that personally, but yeah, I think Gav's right. We have to win our home games in that first block. We always want to pick up something away, but much like this season, if we can be in the fight and picking up bonus points, we just need to be accumulating points all the time, don't we? Just keep adding to that total, and hopefully we're not desperate for something against the Stormers come the last game to get off the foot of the table or above one of the other Welsh teams. But look, it's a tough league. It's a league full of quality sides, and if we want to move further at the table, we've got to beat quality sides. So yeah, just look forward to it and just rip into it. We've ended the season relatively well. The second half was good, so good break now. Not too many players away with Wales. We should be going in pretty fresh.
And you're right about the URC. It is such a tough league, isn't it? And look, it may not capture the imagination of casual supporters in Wales, but one thing you cannot deny is this league is incredibly competitive. It is hard. It's really, really hard. Different time zones, cross-border competition. It just makes it all the more tougher. It's really, really difficult. Yes, they'll come to you then. How do you feel about Dragons being the first game for the Ospreys at St Helens? Do you think that's a good fixture to kick off the new St Helens era?
I think for both teams, it's kind of a nice kind of fixture to kind of get. Really, it's it works for me a little bit because Touchwood I'll still be working on it, but
Yeah,
it's I think the opening block is quite exciting if you look at it from a Dragons perspective. You kind of got that Benetton game where you're thinking, oh, could be a start of a season. You kind of never know what Benetton are like every now and then. On the whole, they're normally pretty competitive, but you just never know. Then you got two derbies at home back to back. Those are must wins, and then you got that trip to St Helens then, which will be kind of quite exciting, I guess, in for Dragon supporters to be making that trip to St Helens and getting stuck in like they did in Bridgend earlier on in the year. So that'll be interesting. Then you kind of look further on. Then that Zebra game is definitely must win. That is probably the most important game of the first block. 'Cause if you're going in maybe just one win there going into that Zebra game, you're thinking, right, that's must win. But if you've got a bit of momentum, you can kind of thinking that Zebra game's a winnable game. Who knows what state Edinburgh will be in by December? As they're not the flashiest team in the league, and then you're going into the Christmas period after Europe, so it'll be very interesting, that opening block of the season. And then you kind of look towards the second half then, and you're thinking, oof, Leinster, Munster.
yeah.
You might get something out of Munster or Ulster when you're thinking potentially international callers might sneak into it, but they'll still be very strong sides coming to Newport then. And then even after South Africa, then you kind of got that Glasgow game, which could potentially be around European knockout time. So it'll be that middle block from Munster to Glasgow is very tricky, and you just got to hope that there's enough wins in that first block of the season, so you carry on momentum and belief to go into those games against Irish sides, and you're thinking, right, we're in a bit of a battle here, potentially not right down near the bottom of the table. You're kind of thinking mid-table somewhere after a few wins, and you're thinking we can give these lot a game instead of possibly thinking, well, we maybe not done as well as we should have in that opening half of the season, and now we've got some really tough games coming up. So hopefully the first block goes well, and then you be able then to have that opportunity to give those bigger teams in a way a proper fight.
Yeah, spot on. But we've been in this situation before, haven't we? How many times have we said we need to win so many games in the first block? This feels like deja vu to me. These fixture lists, it's always the same. We need to win so many games in the first block, 'cause if we don't, then we're fucked in the second. It was the same under Di Flanagan, wasn't it? Remember?
Yeah.
Like I said, this just feels like deja vu. So, yeah, the more I look at that fixture list, especially the second half of the season, it really does worry me. It does. Yeah, it's a tough old league, isn't it, the URC? It really is. But there are some winnable games. I think Scarlets at home is definitely winnable because we stuffed them last time. And Ospreys, we got a good record against the Ospreys. at Ronnie Prade, as you know, Iestyn, so I fancy our chances there. Zebra got to win. No disrespect to Zebra, that's a must-win game. If you don't win that, forget it. Pack up and go home. Edinburgh, they are a good team at home, Edinburgh. I don't think they're the full sum of their parts. I think sure they have a support coach, but they are a good team at home. And well, we never beat Cardiff, so I'm presuming that's 2 losses there. Scarlets, yeah, tough away, Scarlets, isn't it? And then the second half, as I said, I try not to think about it too much, but it's scaring me. That second half of the season. We've had a question come in from one of our listeners, Matt Breedy. He says, do you think on paper at least we'll be a better team at the start of next season than we were at the end of this one? I'm going to say yes, because at the end of last season we were tired because of all the travelling that we had to do in the Challenge Cup. But yeah, we should be better, shouldn't we? In the first half.
On paper, I'd say so. We're looking more together, aren't we? We're looking a better side generally, and a good pre-season. Yeah, we look better, I imagine.
Yeah, Gareth, would you say that we'll probably be a better team at the start of next season than we were at the end of this one?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Just purely from a confidence wise, that side now does have belief. We've got games over the line, home and away, so we shouldn't be doubting ourselves. So yeah, we're starting the season in a better place. Yeah. There's a lot more question marks over us last season than there is at the moment.
Agreed.
Yeah, fair enough. Any further thoughts, Iestyn, on that fixture list or that question? I mean,
kind of a point on the question is just that there should be a lot more confidence, because if you fast track 12 months ago, you were kind of looking back at the league fixtures and you're thinking, oh, where's this win going to come in either the league or Europe? You're kind of thinking,
I think this every season, yes, every season I think it, yeah.
But then you kind of look back at the season before, you had a long losing run kind of throughout the entire season, and you're thinking, when's that losing run going to come to an end in a way? You're kind of thinking, and then you might not get the results in that first couple of games, and you kind of thinking, how much confidence has the squad got in terms of, getting over the line in a way? And of course, this season, the season just gone, that we obviously saw a change in that. So it's you'd hope that off the back of a few wins and off the back of an encouraging Challenge Cup campaign, that there'd be a lot more confidence in them, and potentially a really good kind of marker, I suppose, that Benetton game is just kind of to see where they are, I suppose, before going into the derbies, to kind of think, oh, would they be able to be competitive against Benetton, or am I putting them maybe a little bit too high up, or maybe it might be a really good game.
Yeah, as always, so I think home form is key, isn't it? I want Dragons to be competitive on the road, and you do need to win games on the road. But if we take Cardiff as an example, they won 10 out of the 11 games at the Arms Park. So when people say, oh, we need to make Ronnie Praise a fortress, well, Cardiff made Arms Park a fortress this season because they won all but one of their home games. And that's going to be very difficult for Dragons to do, because that means they'll have to beat Cardiff, which they never do. It means they'll have to beat a South African team, which they never do. They're going to have to beat teams that they never beat. But that's, I hate Cardiff, but you got to look at them as sort of the inspiration and go, well, if they can do it, why can't we? We need to really make Ronnie Prue the fortress, like they made the Arms Park. Because that's what got them into the playoffs, was their home form, essentially. So, that's what we need to do. Win those home games and see what you can get on the road then, but obviously be competitive as well. Right, before we go on to the awards ceremony then, let's open the mailbox. Let's see what our lovely listeners have to say about the season. So, we're giving you the chance to have your say on the season and anything Dragons related. So I'm just going to open up the mailbox now. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Jeffrey Wright gets in touch. He says, disappointing to finish bottom of the Welsh teams, but overall there are definite improvements. Yeah, agreed. David Cox says, definitely a much better season, but we still finished lowest Welsh region after letting a few games slip away. He says, Wayno is a massive loss. Yeah. David says he wants another prop, a centre, a second row, a full-back, and a fly-half. Fucking hell, David, don't want much, does he? He doesn't want much, does he? You ain't getting all that, David. I can tell you that now. That ain't happening, sunshine. You ain't getting all those players. But I don't disagree with him, but we're not getting that. We're not getting all those. Andy Hosick said, still think strengthening of coaches is needed. Now, this is a really good point, because we talk about the recruitment of players. Are we going to replace Rhys Patchell and Dan Lydiard? because I think we need to
Oh,
replace them.
absolutely.
No, I don't expect to replace both of them, but I would like to see another coach come in, and that's
Yeah,
something that you've spoken about as well, Gav, isn't it? Having another coach come in.
Yeah,
really
well,
important.
yeah, we've all said that, haven't we? You know, it's
Yeah, yeah. Mm. What do you think, Yasin? Do you think Dragons need to bolster the coaching
Yeah,
setup as well?
kind of thinking about it now, you kind of do think that you might need someone just to come in, even if on kind of similar to Patchell on that temporary role. And hopefully they don't get swayed away by the national side during international windows. So if there's kind of that coach kind of there and available, you definitely would bring someone on board like that because it is a big blow kind of losing those players behind the scene, those coaches behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and to and if you're not replacing them, then there's even more of an emphasis on the current coaching setup, which, as we kind of learned previously, uh, is kind of not the best thing to kind of have. So the more numbers, kind of the merrier in a way.
Mm. I had a feeling that Lydia was going to go to Wales, though. I could see that coming a mile off the time he was going to eventually make him a permanent hire. And I always knew that Reece Patchell would eventually move on because he's a young coach. He's very highly thought of in the game. I didn't think he'd go to Benetton, mind, I'll be honest. But yeah, so it's not a surprise they left. But I do kind of think we need to bring in an additional coach. But I just don't trust the Dragons to do it. I don't think they will. I think they'll plod on with the current coaching team they got. But yeah, it's a good point. I would like to see another coach come in. What else does Andy say? Good progress, but ultimately still finished bottom West region. Yep, we did. Need an additional front row, backup 10, a centre and a winger. And he says also beating Cardiff would be nice. Well, yes, chance to be a fine thing, wouldn't there? Errol Tottle. Now, I like this comment because he's absolutely right. He says, it was like 2 seasons, really, wasn't it? Absolute dog shit until mid-December, then bloody great afterwards. I think that sums it up
true
really well.
enough. Yeah,
We were dog shit, mind. That period up to mid-December, Dragons were dog shit. So I think that's absolutely fair comment. If we play like we showed we can from the beginning, then we would have been 12th or better. Well, we would have been higher than 15th, I think. Definitely. But yeah, it was a terrible start this season, wasn't there? What else have we got here? Nick Foyle said, not sure finishing second bottom could be classed as a good season, but it was much improved and there were real signs of unity and identity. So hopefully we can kick on next season and turn those draws into wins. He says he wants a decent 10 to back up Tinas. And then he adds, thanks for the pods over the season. Enjoy listening to them all. Cheers, Nick. Thank you for that. What else have we got here? Darren gets in touch down there. He says, happy with the season. I think this team can kick on now because they know they can win home and away. You couldn't say that at the start of last season. He says, I think we will win 7 URC games next season. 7 games. What do you reckon? Do you think that's a bit ambitious?
Well, it depends. Again, as I always say, always depends on how the start of the season goes. It's you don't want to be chasing wins going into that second block or the second half of the season. So if they could win, well, if they can win all the home games at the start, so you got Ospreys, Scarlets, and Zebra, there's 3. So maybe kind of looking then potentially away. Could it be away at at Parker Scarlets? Could it be away at St Helens? Could it be a team like Edinburgh, Benetton, maybe a potential scalp? And then if you get those wins, who knows? Whenever Munster Ulster come to town, and you thinking, I always think to that game against Munster a couple of years ago when Rio scored late on
Oh,
in
yes.
in
Wonderful
the
try.
game, and you kind
Yeah.
of thinking that was a strong Munster team that day, and
Yeah.
they didn't know what was coming. So you kind of thinking if they start the season well, they might get to that figure of 7 or potentially more than what they did this year. But the point I was going to try and make is the hope that the draws do turn into wins is absolutely correct. As I think 4 draws in one season is like almost unheard of, and there's if you kind of look in all 4 of those games, there's opportunities to win in all 4 of those, and then that makes the league table look a little bit different.
Glasgow drew 4 games. I think we mentioned it on the pod. I think it was the 2010 season. So it has been done before. But yeah, 4 draws is a bit silly. 7 wins, I can't see it. I can't see it myself. Well, the Dragons have never won more than 4 URC games. So since the league became the URC, they've never won more than 4. So if they were to get 7, they'd be making history. They'd actually break
Yeah.
the most amount of wins they've ever had in the URC. But I don't see it personally. But optimism in it. I know Darren anyway. He is new to the Dragons. I will say that, and he is an optimist. So yeah. What else do you say? We also need to recruit a 10. Yeah, if Tinas is injured, then he goes to shit a bit. Yeah, we've mentioned that, haven't we? I think there is a danger of it going to shit if Tinas is injured. What else we got? Nathan Dark says definite progress with Europe the highlight. He says he thinks Perpignan away was the turning point, not just for certain players getting shown up, but Philo as well because of the win ratio at the time. Yeah, I think Philo's win rate at that point, what do we say, was 4%, wasn't it? It was something like 4%. Yeah, that we'll talk a bit about that game later. To kick on next season, I still think we need another 10 to compete with Tinas. He wants an experienced ball carrier, 8, a loose head, and an explosive centre. What else we got? Lynn Jeffrey says we need a backup 10. There's a theme developing here. I don't know if you've noticed. A lot of people want a backup 10. See, it's not just me. All the supporters want a backup 10. Lynn Jeffrey says he wants Harry Ford from Pontypool to be given more opportunities. Says he's got huge potential. Now, I thought Harry Ford would have kicked on a little bit now because I saw him for Wales in the 20s. He was very good. And I don't know what's happened, but he hasn't really kicked on as much as I would have liked. So I don't know whether he's got work on, whether the coaches have looked at him and gone, well, you still got some work on, so you need you to go away and work on this. But yeah, I do think Harry Ford would have had a few more opportunities anyway. But no, we'll see how he gets on. Maybe he will next season, who knows. Stephen Down says, good progress in URC, but compared to last year and in Europe, but disappointed in the Welsh derbies. He said, recruitment looks good, but we'd like to see a big ball carry an additional centre. A lot of people say we need centre, and I'm okay with our centre options. Actually, I don't think we need a centre. I'm perfectly happy with what we got. And I even know Infinity, Paya. There we go. Harry Ackerman, Westwood. I don't think that's an area you need, the centre. I'd say fly half and the front 5 forward actually would be more of a priority.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'd agree.
But a lot of people say they want a centre, but oh well. What else is he saying? Oh, community team are doing great work. Yes. I do think Dragons got the best community team out of all the regions. That's not me being, well, it's an award-winning community team, isn't it? We'd love to see some capital injection and development of the Cabbage Patch progressing. Well, we've wanted that for years. We're still waiting. Will it ever happen? Who knows? Right then, Gareth, Loaf has been in touch. For those who don't know, Loaf is Gareth's brother. He actually makes a really good point.
He does actually have an actual name as well. He's called Owain, isn't he? He's not actually called Loaf.
We call him Loaf.
Yeah.
We always I never
he's only Loaf.
I've never actually called him Owen or Owain. Never. I've always called him Loaf when I've seen him in person.
I'm just trying to humanize him.
He's Loaf.
There's no need to humanize him. He is Loaf.
Can you remember that song by the Presidents of the United States of America, Lump? But it's Loaf. He's Loaf. He's Loaf.
Oh dear. I've lost my train of thought now. Right,
Sorry.
no, I said no, I found it. Sorry, I lost where I was. Right, so this is what he says. And like I said, I think it's a fair point, right, Gav? So you tell me what you think of Love's comment. He says, European semi-final papered over the cracks. Are we improved? Yes, but we are still way off it. I think that is a very fair comment.
Yeah.
Gareth? We are still some way off being a good team, and certainly getting into the top. We are quite way off it.
We are, and you could look at it that it papered over the cracks. And our route to the semi-final, we were playing rotated sides, but like Gav said at the time, you can only beat what's in front of you.
Yeah.
That's not the Dragons' fault, though, is it?
That's not the Dragons' fault, but it is hard to then gauge, how much improvement has been made. And at times we were poor in the league, and we did sort of flutter out at the end of the season on a bit of a whimper. But at the same time, from the base we started on, the improvement has been vast. Like it's night and day to last season. Yes. And I think really you can look at the points in the league gained, win and loss column and all these things, but ultimately going to Rodney Parade this season has been absolutely brilliant. And I've been able to go over with hope. And I think that's the main shift that we've had, that I feel like whoever's turning up at Rodney Parade, I thought we've got a chance today. And you could feel it in the crowd that we feel like we've got a chance and we're staying in the fight. So I think it's been a successful season. But if we did exactly the same next season, it's not a success. It needs to be gradual improvement again, if that makes sense.
Agreed, completely agreed.
So if we replicate the season that we've had for next year, that's not good enough, is it? Because let's be
No, it's
honest,
not.
when you look at it, the cold hard facts, we are still bottom West region, as always. 3 wins we had in the league, mind. All right, 4 draws. There could
Yeah.
have been wins, but nonetheless,
There
3
could have been
wins.
losses.
Yeah, but 3 wins, Gab, it's not great, is it? It's not good.
No, it's not. It's not. And if we don't want to see improvement next season and not finish Welsh region, well, what's the point? You know, I'm going over there to hopefully watch the side that I'm going to see lift a trophy. That's what I want. And you know, it may be a while off, but I want to see improvement. I want to see steps towards that.
Okay, I hate to break to you, Gav, but I don't think you're ever going to see the Dragons
never
win
know.
silverware.
We
You
could get a
never
Welsh
know.
Fruit Bowl.
The Welsh Shield. Yeah, but that means they have to beat Cardiff, which they never do. They have to beat Ospreys away,
We'll have
which
to
they
beat them
never
one
do.
day, mate. We will beat them one day.
First time for everything, mate.
I just hope I'm alive to see it. I might not survive the night because I'll be partying so hard, but it'll be.
And you'll be throwing bits of your body about.
Yeah, it's not my mind people like that.
You leave your manhood alone if Dragons do beat Cardiff, because
the internet never
could get
forgets
messy.
Gareth.
Well, the problem is if it's in person, I'm going to have to be ripping it off on the terrace, so it's not going to be ideal.
Do you know about this, Iestyn, about what Gav wants to do if Dragons ever beat Cardiff?
No, I haven't.
He say he's going to rip his. He say he wants to rip his cock off and throw it at the telly.
Oh,
Perfectly normal behaviour, isn't it?
I was trying to summarise how
you've got to
pleased
hope
it-
it's a late kickoff to make it behind the watershed first of all. But yeah,
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I haven't finished, by the way. Loaf still got more to say. He did send us an essay, and I thought I'm not reading all that out, Loaf, so I've cut it down. Because I did say to people, keep it short and sharp, and Loaf did not get the memo, clearly. He says, target for next season has to be top 8. Otherwise, what's the point of even being in the league, he says. I mean, someone does have to be bottom 2, though, don't they? Unfortunately for the Dragons, it's always us. But, yeah, you know, we all want top 8. But the question is, can Dragons ever make top 8? I don't think we will, because we are a fundamentally flawed team. And I don't think we've quite got the depth to do it. So
Interesting. Do they talk about that in camp?
Dale did. Dale came out.
Dale did, yeah. He's excitable, isn't he?
He came out to the media and said, you know, our target is topic. Now, obviously, everyone took the piss out of that because it's the Dragons and they never get out to the bottom 2. So what are you talking about, mate? How can you make top 8 if you can't even get out the bottom 2? It invited ridicule, comments like that. But it does make you think. I can't see a world where Dragons are ever top 8, right? Because, like I said, I just think they're too fundamentally flawed. But I can believe in a world where Dragons are a solid mid-table team, like the 12th or 13th. I can see that. But that means they're going to have to win more than 2-3 games a season, doesn't it? In the league. That's the problem. We're asking Dragons to do what they can't do.
On that, and like how, I guess, internally they're setting expectations. Have you noticed much of a shift, Iestyn, when you've watched, when you've been to press conferences and things like that and reporting on the Dragons? Do you think there's been a change in sort of atmosphere?
I think a little bit in terms of you can kind of see a little bit more confidence amongst players and coaches and every speaking to them following games. Yes, obviously it's a little bit easier when you win a couple of games compared to potentially losing in that opening block. But I wouldn't say they'd be as optimistic as what Dale was saying at the start of the year. But but you kind of sense that you can kind of see from the outside is that the squad was getting a lot tighter, and you know they were really buying into what Fielder was doing, and you can kind of see that in performances as well. So it's I wouldn't say it was kind of uber confident in saying, yeah, we're going to be a top 8 side one day, but you can kind of see the togetherness and everything slowly creeping in, and you could probably see that within performances first, and you just kind of hope that it kicks on then over pre-season and going into next year.
Yeah,
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you want to show supporters and your sponsors and your stakeholders that you are, what's the word? Not optimistic, ambitious. You want to be ambitious, don't you? You want to show, everyone that you are ambitious. You want to push on, but when anyone says Dragons top 8, I just laugh at them because I just don't think it's feasible or realistic. For me, they can't come out and say this, but I just want Dragons to stop being the worst team in Wales. I want them to get out to the bottom 2, which they never do, and I want them to stop being the worst. I don't give a fuck about top 8. Just stop being the worst team in Wales.
Yeah.
That's all I want from you boys. That's all I ever want. If you finish 14th, I'd be over the moon, as long as like Scarlets finish below us.
13th and 3rd in Wales would be ideal.
Oh, I'd be buzzing.
Oh, I would take that. We talked about improvement as well, and then we mentioned recruitment. But one thing, like the Ospreys have traditionally been one of the better Welsh sides. They never really had a big turnover of players. Relatively solid squad, not losing too many. And I feel like, oh, that's quite good. This is probably one of the first windows, Wainwright aside, where we're keeping a very solid squad together. And I think that might actually put us in good stead. You know, stable on the coaching front. I know lids and patch, but on the main coaches as well, which we don't normally have either. So we could be going in, you know, with a little bit more confidence to creep up the table. And I would take just not being bottom Welsh side.
Yeah, because it's just boring and it's the same every year and I'm so bored of it. Yeah. Only 2 teams have never made the playoffs.
Zebra.
Us and Zebra, which I think tells you a story.
Yeah.
I think that tells you the gap.
Yeah.
That just tells you where we are compared to the other side. Also, on the other hand, Leinster, Stormers, Bulls and Munster are the only teams to have made the top 8 in every season. And that's what you're up against. Bigger teams, bigger budgets.
Well, you never would have thought Glasgow would have been a double title winning side 15 years ago or so.
No.
I can remember
8 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can remember. I'm going back to the old Celtic League days. Glasgow were pants. They were very average. I mean, Connacht were dog shit at one time. There was talk of them going.
See?
And Benetton. Benetton were a bit of a laughing stock, but investment, isn't it? Those teams got invested. That's the difference. They invested in their coaching. They invested in their squad. That's what you need. We need to keep investing, and I just don't know if the Dragons are going to keep doing it. So, yeah. I haven't finished with Loaf's comment. It still goes on. I'm sorry. I'll try and wrap this up a bit now. He says, marquee signing talk has disappeared completely. Loaf, that was never happening, mate. That marquee signing was never happening. I said it at the time. Gareth, you'll back me up on this. What did I tell you?
Yeah.
Even at the Q&A, when David Wright was going, I can't promise 2 marquee players, but I can promise 1. I sat there and I said, they won't happen. They won't get a marquee signing. I called it from the very beginning. So forget about marquee signings. Ain't happening. It never was on. I know the Dragons. I'm not saying the Dragons were lying, but it was never on realistically. I never believed them for a single second when they said we're going to get a marquee signing. So I was proven right on that one. He wants a backup 10. Yeah, same as everyone else. And then he ends with this. Bring on 15th. See, Loaf knows. And on the one hand, he's saying the target has to be top 8. And then he's saying bring on 15th. Kind of contradict yourself there, Loaf. But, fair play. He's right. He made some good points.
We all predicted we'd come 16th this season. Even Gareth did.
I said 15th. I didn't say 16th.
I think I did say 13th. I was pretty optimistic.
Yeah. You were the most optimistic. I think me and you, Gavin, said. I think we both said 15th.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the one hand, we said, where the Dragons are going to finish. They have finished where we said, but the frustrating thing is it should have been higher than 15th. Because we lost games, so we should have won, and then we drew games, so it could have been better, couldn't it? I think that's the frustration. Even though we predicted 15th, it should have been more. That's the problem for me. I know it should have been more. We should have finished above the Scarlets. And we had our opportunities, we didn't take them. That's the way it goes. In this league, don't take your chances, stay in the bottom 2. Simple as that. What else do we got here? Dave Ashton. Good effort from the boys this season to turn it round. Definite improvement, but worth remembering, he said, the bar was set very low. Again, it's a fair point. I mean, the bar was so low, it was practically touching the ground, wasn't it? Because last season was fucking shambles. So it was obviously going to be better than last season, whatever happened. But it's a fair point. He said, in terms of recruitment, we definitely need a 10 to take the pressure off Tinas. We don't want a Sam Davis situation again. Funny enough, I said that, didn't I? Yeah. There you go. See? He says he wants a ball carrying 8 and says, can we please, let's replace the coaches that have left and not do the usual Dragons habit of stretching the current staff too thinly. Spot on again. Because we have had a reputation for doing that, haven't we?
That does drive me up the wall, to be fair. At least, the players we have got, let's give them all the tools to be successful at least.
But will the Dragons invest, Gareth, in new coaches? Do they have the ambition? Do they have that investment to want to bring in? I'm not saying you need to bring in all these coaches, but I would like one, even if it's part-time. But what coach would you like, though? Would you like a skills coach? Would you like a scrum? What coach are we talking about here? What do you think the Dragons need?
That's why I think we need more than one. Because I definitely like a skills coach. I think we've become hard to beat this season, and we've got that sort of fight in the side. But we need to take the attack to the next level. So let's bring in a skills coach to work alongside Matt O'Brien, and we definitely need a scrum coach because we've got plenty of forwards, but the scrum at times is still an issue, and we have young front rowers who I think could go on to be very, very good players. So I'd like to see them given, again, all the tools to be the best of their ability. We've only got a certain amount of oranges. Let's make sure we're squeezing every drop out of them, sort of thing. I think we need good coaches to do that.
Fair enough. I think me and Gavin have said we like a scrum coach, Gav, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, scrum and a skills coach, I think, would be useful as well.
Yeah. So if you're listening, Dragons, Buttress, Blumberg, you know what to do. Bring in a scrum coach and a skills coach, please. The supporters have spoken. He says, good luck for next season. Got my season ticket ready. I haven't renewed mine. I am going to, but I know there's only a couple of days left, so I need to get a move on, don't I? But yeah.
You're going to see if it's going to announce Kit Kat Junkies stocked, or is that what it is?
I will be making inquiries about the Kit Kat stocking situation when I do phone the ticket office to sort out the direct pay. What I want to know is why can't I renew my season ticket by direct debit online anymore? Because it used to be able to do it online. Now you got to phone the ticket office. It's like, why have I got to phone people now? I used to be able to do it online. What's changed? Why have they done that? I don't know. I'm going off for one there, but anyway, yeah, I'll sort out my season ticket soon. That's just reminded me. I do need to do it, because otherwise I'll be paying full price.
Your Kit Kat Chunkies, a friend of mine lives in Japan, goes and watches the Blue Revs in the Japanese league, and you can get like 8 different flavors of Kit Kat there.
I know. Jen, my wife, went to Japan. She brought back green tea Kit Kats and strawberry Kit Kats, and they were lovely. Really, really good.
Strawberry and chocolate together is...
Oh, it worked. And the green tea ones were lovely. Really, really nice.
Strawberry and chocolate together is wrong.
It's
Almost
not.
criminal.
Of course it's not. Strawberries dipped in chocolate's lovely. Okay, that's something we're going to have to fundamentally disagree on then, Gavin, I think. I think we better move on now. That's annoyed me now. And finally, friend of the pod and chairman of the Dragon Supporters Club, Dan Hallett. He gets in touch. Hi, Dan. He says, it's the most engaged I've seen the supporters for a long time. Apart from the improved performances, we could see the effort every week. This sounds a bit like you now, Gav. Hear the hits, see the joy the players had in playing for each other. Plenty to work on, he says. Yes, agreed. But, he says, the base is far more stable than previous years. He says, we'll have Rob Hunt back firing, and the new signings also look to be in the Philo and Dale mould of having good character, humble, genuine, hard-working types. More backroom staff recruitment, please. Yeah. And a start to the Cabbage Patch development would be great, even if it's just an agreement with the council on what it'll be and a timescale. Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing for me. We don't even get a timescale, do we? It's always, there are discussions ongoing. We've been in talks. Can you at least give us, some idea? It would be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, that's another thing that's annoying me at the Dragons. It's just the lack of progress about the Cabbage Patch, because there's so much potential there to develop something on it. That could be a really good additional revenue stream if they,
Wasn't there a lot of testing being done this summer on the ground?
They've done surveys, yeah,
stuff.
but that was a couple of years ago. Now they said that the Q&A, didn't they? A couple of years ago, they spent a few grand on.
Yeah.
But I just want to it's like dancing. It would be good to give support, just say, right, we aim to have something. We aim to talk about this in July. We hope we can tell you about our plans in July, but we don't even get that. We just don't know anything.
Well, you spoke to the Newport councillor, didn't you?
Yeah, you said discussions are ongoing.
Yeah.
Well, he's the council leader. Yeah,
it's a fine line, though, isn't it? Because you don't want to end up like Lance Chance, Bradley, and
steady
Thomas.
on, Gareth. Yes, in your mind, you might be mates with Lance. I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? That you got to be careful not to put too much out there at the same time, haven't you? So but yeah, as fans, it's our club, and you want to know what's going on, and it would be a nice little boost to have something to look forward to in terms of development.
Yeah.
Such a great spot.
He says, from a supporters club perspective, a huge thanks to those who have engaged and filled the fun bus and buses on occasion. Yeah, there was 3 coaches that went out to the Scarlets.
Good stuff.
Really surprised at that was, yeah. After all the hard work Christian and Rachel Hyde have put in, yes, that's seconded. They do work incredibly hard, Rachel and Christian. So yeah, they deserve a lot of praise and credit. And then he adds, I suppose the pod has been all right, though, but for far too much positivity for me to feel comfortable. Don't complain about positivity. Don't complain about that, because there have been moments this season where it's been a bit grim, isn't it?
He's
But,
not talking about us, Jay.
No, well, I hope not. I hope not. But listen, as I always say to people, when Dragons are winning, it's much easier to be positive and record nice pods, isn't it? Like, I love recording victory pods. It's great. We want more victory pods, but when Dragons are shit and they're being Dragon Seed, then it's very difficult to be positive. And we can only say what we see, can't we? So, yeah. That's it for the mailbox. Thank you for everyone who's got in contact. There were loads of calls. I couldn't read them all out. We'd be here all night. So thank you to those who have submitted all their questions and comments. Really appreciate it. Right, time for a bit of housekeeping then. So if you enjoy the pod, please leave us a nice review. A 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify will get you a shout out. And if you're watching us on YouTube, yeah, you know what to do. Please like, press the hype button, all that sort of thing, as it does help the channel to grow and makes it easier for people to find us. Right then, the season awards time, boys. We are handing out the Dragon's Lair, the only awards that matter, the Dragon's Lair season awards. So we got a few categories to get through. The first one is best performance of the season. Now, I'll read out the nominees. You don't have to select the nominees that I mentioned. You can have your own selection, but I'm just giving you a rough idea of, giving you some choices what you could have. So my nominees are Dragons' famous win in Paris against Stade Francais in the Challenge Cup. I think that's got to be a strong contender, isn't it? We got Dragons crushing Connacht of Ronnie Parade, 48-28. What a day that was. We enjoyed that one, Gavin, didn't we? You came down for that one.
I did indeed.
Oh, what a night, as Frankie Valli once said. I really enjoyed that night. Dragons slaughtering Scarlets, 28-5. Should have been more than that. I scored a flats the Scarlets. That was a brilliant day. Or you've got Dragons comeback win against Lyon at Ronnie Parade, 23-21. So those are some of the choices you could have. You might have your own. Iestyn, I'm going to start with you. What was your best performance this season from the Dragons?
I went purely performance-wise, and as much as I enjoyed the Stad win, it kind of felt midway through that game, I thought, oh, that might be the end of the Challenge Cup campaign. So I went with the Connacht game at home, which kind of sounds contradictory to my point, as Connacht kind of put in a couple of scores late on. But for about an hour to 65 minutes, that was a very, very good Dragons performance.
It was like watching the All Blacks, wasn't it? It was like 40-odd, 7
it was like
48.
And we'd have tried this loud as well.
Yeah,
yes.
48-7 at one point. It was bonkers night. And then, it just... so that's why I've got it top, because I thought that was a proper performance.
Okay, good shout. Gareth, best performance of the season?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Iestyn, actually. I thought, if it was result of the season, I'd go Stad. But yeah, performance-wise, I think Iestyn hit the nail on the head. Connacht was beautiful. It was the first time we really opened up in the back line. We just blew them off the park, didn't we? It was never in doubt. And
yeah,
we were delirious on the terrace. People were literally like hugging each other going, what is going on? Like, it was just... After so much pain, okay, we got over the line against Lyon, which was really good. But then to just see us really open up and the team looked really pleased. And yeah, Scarlets was closely followed by that. But yeah, Connacht game for me. We were awesome.
Okay, Gavin, best performance of the season for you?
I'm following the trend in Connacht as well. Because it was just the most rounded performance, and fell away in the last 10-15 minutes. But for, like Iestyn said, for an hour and a bit, they couldn't even lay a glove on us, and that was a good Connacht side.
Yeah.
But everything we did just came off.
And to give us some hope for next season, Aaron Wainwright did not play in that game.
Oh, that's right. Keddy started it, and he was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he, Keddy?
Keddy had a great
game. Yeah. So I think Dragons' famous win in Paris is right up there. But it is worth remembering Dragons were 17-0 up and they lost the lead. So performance-wise, it wasn't perfect at all. Like we had to come back and win that. And that goes back to the criticism that we've heard from a lot of people that Dragons are not very good at managing leads.
Mm.
And I think that game's a perfect example. Munster away was a perfect example. You know, they went 25 up, didn't they? Couldn't manage the lead still, and they still lost, you know, when they didn't deserve to. But that's the problem with the Dragons. They're not very good at managing leads. So I'm not going to say that. I am going to, yeah, you know, I don't want us all to have the same answers because I think it's been a bit boring. But I am going to have to go for that Connor game because, like I said, for the first hour, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Who are these people? Who are the Dragons? This ain't the Dragons I know. What's going on here? Like, we were brilliant. Shea Hope was fantastic. That was a good Connacht team, by the way, that came
Yeah.
down. They had Bundyaki, who was absolutely anonymous. Prendergast. They brought down a good team. And they were wobbling at that point, Connacht. But of course, they did all right, didn't they? Because they went on to the playoffs in the end. So, yeah, I think that first hour, like Justin said, we were 48-7 or whatever it was. It was just incredible. It was like, is this really happening?
Yeah, it was Dreamland stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I don't even think it was the fact that Connacht was shit. I just think we were
No.
too good. I just think we were really good. Because I think if you say, "Oh, Connacht were rubbish," I think it does the Dragons a disservice. I just
Yeah,
think we
no.
were that good.
Totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
So we all agreed then. Dragons crushing Connacht, Ronnie Parade, 48-28. That's our best performance of the
All
season.
agreed, not even rehearsed as well.
Brilliant. Right, here's one for you then. Worst performance of the season. This brings us back down to earth, doesn't it? So, there aren't too many choices now. There are a few, but not too many. So, a game that you went to, Gareth, starting with Dragons losing 49-0 away to Glasgow. Dragons thought it'd be a good idea to make 12 changes for this one against a fully loaded Glasgow team. And wouldn't you believe it? It didn't end well because they got nilled, 49-0. I know, Gareth, you said we had opportunities and we did. But it's still embarrassing, isn't it, losing 49-0? I know there's a caveat with the changes, but it was pretty grim. And I'm so glad that you went to it and not me, because if I travelled all the way up to Glasgow to watch that,
Yeah.
yeah, I would have been impressed, to be honest. A strong contender, Dragons' hapless performance out in Perpignan, losing 41-17. For context, Perpignan went into this match bottom of the top 14. Bottom of the top 14. They lost 11 games in a row. They had a red card in the first half, and they still battered a woeful Dragons team. Yeah, that was pretty stinking. Another choice, Dragons losing 74-21 away to Benetton in the Challenge Cup. 11 tries to 3, the third heaviest defeat in the Dragons' history. Again, there is context, there is a caveat to this. Now, Dragons did make 9 changes, and they were coming up against a fully loaded Benetton team. And look, it didn't matter too much in the end because we still got out to the pool and we did, make it to the semis, as we know. But it was really painful to watch. That game was like watching, and I'm going to be honest here, it was like watching a semi-pro team have a crack at Benetton. Dragons looked way, way out of their depth. And the one thing I always think about this game, and I do feel sorry for him, Ratave gave Ewan Rosser a torrid time on the ring. He just kept running over him. And it was getting to a point where you're like, this is cruelty now. Get Rosser off because this is just cruel on the kid. Like he just kept getting run over. Di Richards was missing tackles left, right, and centre, and it was awful. Like I said, it was like watching a semi-pro team try to have a go at bed, and it was really poor. Any others I can think of? I think losing to Cardiff again at Ronnie Parade. Dragons did get a bonus point out of it, but I think why this performance deserves a mention because they made all those changes against Glasgow with the Cardiff game in mind, didn't they? Because they had the Welsh derbies against Cardiff and against the Ospreys. And on top of that, you had the discourse of the WRU cutting the team, which was really ramping up at this point, and Dragons were in the firing line. So you wanted Dragons to put in a good performance, resting all the players, and they were still shit. It was a limp, low energy performance. The atmosphere was rubbish as well. I remember, I think it was good at the first, before kick-off, like the first 10 minutes or so, but I think it was 3 first half tries in the opening quarter from Cardiff, wasn't it? And it just killed the game. It's rubbish game, rubbish atmosphere. I know Dragons fought back for a bonus point, but the game was over at that point. So I think that deserves a mention as well, because it was just so limp. The atmosphere was limp, the performance was limp. So those are the choices. Feel free to pick your own. Gavin, what was your worst Dragons performance of the season?
So I've got 2 answers.
Okay.
I've got a real answer and the performance that irritated me the most.
Okay.
So the real answer is Perpignan, which we were hapless. And, at that point, I was like, honestly, we give up a lot of time to watch and talk about this club, and I'm not sure it's giving us what we need
Mm.
right now. But my other one is the recent defeat to Edinburgh at home, because it just felt so underpowered, and we promised so much. And we just never looked like winning it. We didn't look like, we weren't being outclassed, but we never looked better than a fairly poor Edinburgh team. But
Yeah,
if I'm being,
it wasn't a bad performance. It was very disappointing because
it was
they
just,
were there
it
for the
was,
taking, weren't they?
yeah, it was hugely disappointing. So in terms of worst performance, Perpignan.
Okay, Gareth.
Yeah, Perpignan, just like, yeah, I was there at Glasgow, but at least we were playing an absolutely amazing Glasgow side full of stars and British Lions. Perpignan, they didn't even look that good, and they absolutely battered us. So that was the worst for me. Yeah, leave it there. I'm not going to dwell on anymore.
Iestyn, worst performance of the season?
Yeah, I was thinking Perpignan. I actually missed the Glasgow game. Then the Cardiff game was actually my first game with the Argus, so that wasn't the best of openings. And then I just remember the Perpignan game and just seeing a bit of reaction online after, and you thought, oh, this looks bad, and it was, and fortunately, it all kind of turned the corner a little bit after that. I think that was probably the harsh lesson of the season as well, in terms of that was the defeat that they really needed to kind of turn the corner, because it just felt like it just felt so flat and demoralizing, kind of just watching it, and you kind of thinking, oh, well, when because everyone was still talking about that losing run, and I
Yeah,
think both teams had quite a long losing run at the time, and
yeah,
you're kind of thinking, oh, if Perpignan's going to end it, right? When the Dragons are going to do it, and off the basis of that performance, it didn't look like it was going to come anytime soon, let alone the following week.
yeah. I agree with you all. Perpignan away for me was by far the worst ever performance. Remember the pod that we did, Gareth, as well? People still talk about that. Yeah, we didn't pull any punches, did we? But
Oh,
we didn't hold back. Definitely the worst performance this season. Like I said, nothing in this game. No, this was one of those games, right, where not a single Dragons player came out with any credit. Not a single player you could say had a good game. It was just comically bad from beginning to end. Remember Sam Scarf when he had that penalty? Well, it was only a couple
yeah.
of, it was like centimeters from the Perpignan try line. Did a tap a go, didn't tap the ball. And you're like, come on, mate. This is just getting silly now. And then Rodri fumbling the ball at the base of ruck, then the interceptor go up the other end. It was that performance, right? And Gavin knows this. I've said this on the pod before. I had a conversation with Gavin over WhatsApp, and I said, I think this is going to be my last season of doing the pod now. I've had enough. Honestly, I was going to knock it on the head. I was going to say to Lee, our producer, you're going to have to find another host because I can't keep talking about this shit anymore. I've had a gutful. I'm
Well,
giving up. I'm giving up my free time every Sunday night. We don't get paid for this, and it's not getting any better. It's getting worse. I can't keep giving up my time to keep talking about a shit team that's doing the same thing over and over again. I've had enough now, and I was actually questioning renewing my season ticket as well. I'd had a gut full of Dragons at that point. I was done with them. That was a dreadful performance. That, Gavin, to do.
mm,
I was on the edge. I was like, no more
we
now.
we were both saying this is probably enough now, wasn't it? But
Gareth, you
we
could be doing this pod on your own, mate. Because me and Gavin were like, fuck this shit. We've had enough.
Dear me. And now look at us. Dragons are massive.
yeah,
Living life every week in the
15th best team in the URC.
Still the worst team in Wales, but yeah, we are massive. Yeah, so I think we all agree Perpignan was an absolute shocker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to something a bit more happier. Try of the season. So a very strong contender, Dai Richards against Munster, which won Try of the season at the official Dragons Awards night and has been nominated for the official URC Try of the season. This was outstanding. Other mentions, Dai Richards again, his try against the Scarlets. Really good finish. Johan Nicholas and Ellisme had no chance of stopping him. He's a good finisher, Dai Richards. We've always said that.
Yeah.
Angus O'Brien against Sharks. Remember for Tulipaya, his debut? Maybe he made that break
Oh,
right up the
yeah.
middle, and he could have actually gone himself. I watched that try back today. He could have gone himself, Paya, but he unselfishly gives the ball to Angus, and it was a lovely work try, lovely inside ball again from an Iron Owen. And then Rio Dyer's try against the Lions. That crossfield kick from Angus, one of the best you'll ever see. Superb from Rio to gather it and touch it down. So try to figure it first. Oh, the try against Edinburgh, Harry Keddy. Thanks to
Oh,
a wonderful Rio Dyer break down the wing. And it's
around Darcy Graham, that was as well.
yeah, left Darcy Graham for dust. And like I said, that was the best of Rio, and it absolutely baffles me why he can't get into the Wales team. It's absolutely criminal. But yeah,
Disgrace.
I think that was a nice reminder to Tandy, actually, of what he could do. I thought that was really good. So try the season, Gareth. That was you.
Do you know what? That Harry Keddy one's right up there for me. But I'm going to go for one not on the short list if I can. I think
You can. You could pick anyone you want.
I absolutely love Rio's try against Newcastle at home, where
Oh, that's a good one,
Angus
yeah.
gives that big long pass
Yeah.
to Anisi. Like that pass is just a stunner to watch. And I love watching Anisi with the ball. He just makes it look easy. He's got players all around him, and he's just very casual with it. Gives a lovely offload to Rio, who can just sort of burst away and go over. And I just think, yeah, it's probably the try I've watched the most this season. I really enjoyed that, but it's quite nice that there are a few good ones up there. To be fair,
That's
yeah,
a strong
for
shout.
Rio.
That's a good one. Iestyn, your Dragons try the season?
Dyer against the Lions for me. I think the try with the most, I think it was probably the most skillful try in terms of the kick and the
Yeah.
gather to finish that off took a lot of skill. And yeah, I think that'd be my pick.
Good shout. Gavin, your try the season, please.
I'm going populist, Di Richards against Munster, just for the
Yeah.
sheer joy of it. The look on Tinus's face when he gathers that kick is just a thing of beauty.
Yeah,
It was a brilliant try. And like I said, it
I
did
do
win.
love that.
It did win at the official Dragons Award try the season. And the fact it has been nominated for URC try the season as well. I think that tells you how good that try was. For me, I agree with you yesterday. I'm going to go for Rio Dyer's try against the Lions. That crossfield kick from Angus was perfectly executed. It's one of the best crossfield kicks you'll ever see. And for Rio to gather it on the run like that and dot it down was incredible. And it's got one of my favourite lines of commentary ever. Take that to the bank. Loved it. I play that try every day because I love the commentary and it's just a wonderful, wonderful try. So Rio Dyer's try against the Lions for me is my try of the season. Okay, so the next category I got here now is moment of the season. So I haven't got any nominations. This is purely personal to you guys. What was your favorite Dragons moment? It doesn't have to be a try. It could be anything. Anything that happened in a game, anything that happened off field involving the Dragons. But what I want to know is, what is your Dragons moment of the season? Gareth, let's start with you then.
Oh, I think two defining moments for me. One's a negative.
Could you just try be positive for once, mate? just be positive for once.
Not taking the drop kick via the Sharks.
Oh,
That was a defining moment. Like that was huge, and it would have got a massive hoodoo off our back, not beating the South African side and kickstart in the league. And I think we might have hit our straps a little sooner if we had got that one over. That was frustrating. I think it put more pressure then on the other early fixtures. But on a positive, I think the same person probably who should have been involved, Tinus's flick pass to win it against Zebra away, out to Di Richards.
yes.
I know we'd won away in the cup, but to go away and get that league hoodoo off our back, that was a huge moment because there was a point in that game I thought, are we not going to do this? And that was massive for me. So they'd be my two moments, but I'll go with the positive one for Tinus's flick pass.
Yeah, that was the first time in 4 years Dragons had won an away fixture in the URC.
Oof.
But that's the type of statistic that can only go to the Dragons, though, isn't it? Like, none of the other Welsh teams should have a statistic as bad as that. No, none of the other teams in the URC, with maybe the exception of Zebra, but even they've got a better away record. It's just so Dragonsy. But yeah, monkey off the back.
Yeah.
The away, really good moment. Really good moment. You was at Works Do, wasn't you, or something?
I was, yeah.
Because I think I said to you, oh, we fucked this, we've lost it now. Because that's right, Thomas Young got held up, didn't he, Gavin? All over the line, I remember. And there was a dropout, and they're like, oh, we fucked it now. But fair play. Then we did have a penalty advantage, but that flick pass from Tines, who had a broken hand, by the way. Superb. Really good moment. Iestyn, what was your Dragons moment of the season?
I forgot about that moment by De Beer because my Premier player was messing up when I was trying to report on the game. So that kind of
Standard.
almost ruined everything. My moment of the season comes from the Stad game, and it's by a prop, but it's not Wyn Jones. It's the Chris Coleman out the back pass
Oh,
midway
yes.
through the second half.
Yes.
That's my pick.
Yes, love that. Super Chrissy Coleman with the skills. Love it.
I said that to his dad when I saw him in Clefley. I said, that wasn't Christian Coleman, that was Christian Cullen. I said, what was he doing? And he said, oh, his confidence with Christian. I said, well, he needs to do more of it. Because that was class. That's one of the
Yeah.
best out-the-back passes you will ever see.
Absolutely balling, wasn't he? Love it.
Honestly, if an All Black did that, or a Springbok, it'd be viral. It'd be all over social media. It was brilliant, yeah. Gavin, what's your moment of the season?
Well, I get like Gareth. I've got two. Negative one. Stood on the terrace of Rodney Parade,
I know he's going to say.
waiting for a beer. Myself and Gareth. You turn up with a beer in your hand. Where's ours? Well, you didn't say you wanted one.
But when you're not telling people, so I got lost. I couldn't find you. You left me. I didn't know where you'd gone. So I couldn't find you. And I thought, fuck this. I'm getting a pint. I'm not going to stand here on my own. I'm going to get a drink. And I'm not going to stand there with 3 pints in my hand not knowing where you were. So, yeah, I'd make no apologies for that. That's living rent. I tell you what, mate, that's living rent free in your head, isn't it? Because you kept on about that
It is.
ever since. I know. You need to let it go, mate. You need to let it go.
I
Right,
never
come on.
will.
What? Don't I know it?
Well, I'm going for another prop against that, which is Wyn Jones's try at the end against that, because it was.
Yeah.
I fell off my sofa and my dog was licking my face, wondering what the hell was going on, because I'm just kind of leapt up and my hips given way and I've gone over because I'm so excited.
Only I jumped off my sofa, mind, where Wyn Jones went over. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant moment, yeah. So my moment of the season is Angus O'Brien's match-winning conversion against Leon. And the context is really important around this, okay? So at this point, Dragons were on a 20-game winless run in all competitions. And they headed into this game not having won at Rodney Parade for 14 months. 14 months they had won at home. Again, so Dragonsy. Really, really Dragonsy. I remember at the time I didn't want to go to this game because I was still pretty pissed off with the Perpignan performance. I really do. I had to drag myself to Rodney Parade. But this game wasn't on the telly, if I remember. It was on the Premier Player, wasn't it?
Yes.
And there was that hoo-ha because EPCR said it was being shown on Premier Sports. Then Premier Sports put on the shows us, no, we're not showing this game. Then they did end up showing it, but it was on the Player. And then, obviously, if you haven't got Premier Player, you can't watch it. So I went to the game. I wasn't feeling it at all. I remember saying to my dad, I just don't want to be here. I've had a gut full of the Dragons, like same old shit. And they were losing 21-6. It was a quarter of an hour left. Dragons are losing 21-6. So it's game over. It's done. It's finished. Same old Dragons. And then the script changes. So if you remember, there was 2 tries from Harry Keddy, and then we had a try from Ollie Bowes in the 78th minute. And that brought the Dragons level on points, 21-all. But here's the thing. Angus has a very difficult conversion to score. It wasn't quite a touchline conversion, but the angle was very narrow. Right? And when he steps up to take that conversion, you couldn't hear a pin drop. And when it went over, I never heard a noise like it. And I've been to a lot of games of Rodney Parade. I've been to see the Dragons and Newport County more times than I care to remember. I have never heard a roar like it when that conversion went over. Because I said to my dad before I kicked it, he ain't kicking this. Angus won't kick this. He was like, oh, you're probably right. And he did. And it was so good. It was so good. And then I remember when we kicked the ball off in the 80th minute to win the game, the roar from the terrace was just deafening. And the noise was incredible. And you could feel the relief. You could see the relief and you could feel the pressure being lifted off everyone, couldn't you? Off the players, off the coaches, the supporters, that we'd finally won. We'd finally won a game at Rodney Parade. And we finally ended that winless streak, that long winless streak. And that game was the turning point in the Dragon season. This is where it started to go right because from that game, they actually go on a 5-game unbeaten run at Rodney Parade.
Oof.
Now, this is the Dragons we're talking about here. For the Dragons to go on a 5-game unbeaten run, that's pretty significant. So that kick from Angus, and I watched it back today, it's a really hard conversion. The pressure that he must have been under, knowing, fuck, I gotta kick this because we haven't won in what feels like years. I've got to get this over. And he did. And like I said, the roar of the crowd. Was you at the game, Gareth?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, amazing, wasn't it? Absolutely.
Like I said, I've never heard a noise like it. Like, I've been to see Newport County FA Cup games and, really big matches. I've never heard a roar as loud as that. Did you report for the Argus for that one, Iestyn?
Yes, I was there for that one. And an anecdote that I've got from that was the Leon number 8 won man of the match. And for some peculiar reason, I still remember this. He won. He was awarded player of the match. Then, when they realised, oh wait, the Dragons have won, they switched it to Aaron Wainwright right at the last minute.
They shouldn't do that, really.
And I know I'm always a bit of a fan of kind of a losing player wins player of the match because it should be. And the better moment from this game was, I think before kickoff, it was either him or the Leon blind side. One of the flag bearers runs directly into the player. I think it must have been the number 8. I think one of the flag bearers runs right into him, and he kind of hobbles a little bit. And I'm sat in the press box thinking, is he all right? And so yeah, just for some bizarre reason that was still stuck in my head. And then he proceeded to win man of the match. Then it got cruelly taken off him.
I think, I remember now. He had a really good game, didn't he, the number 8? And it did feel a bit cruel. Wayno was very good in that game, mind. I will say that. But yeah, you shouldn't just switch just because, the Dragons won. But yeah, that game changed the Dragon season. And it was that moment when Angus kicked that over. And like I said, I've never heard a roll like it, and the relief of everybody. It was just a wonderful moment. So yeah, that was my Dragons moment of the season. Right, let's move on to signing of the season. The Dragons recruitment drive was really strong, and there's quite a few contenders, obviously, because we did a big recruitment drive. Rob Hunt, Finney Anisi, Fetuli Paya, Wyn Jones, Dylan Lewis, Thomas Young, Tina Stabia, Levi Douglas, the General, Gareth, as you called him on that video.
Yeah.
Seb Davis, he's been very good. There's also the short-term signings that we had as well. Let's not forget Siwa Dalmini, George Roberts was very good. He made a good impact, didn't he? He's now signed for the Scarlets.
Best known try of the season.
Yes.
That try that was disallowed.
The try that never was against the Scarlets. Yeah, it was pretty brilliant. So, no, look, I haven't included Mackenzie Martin in this because he only played 4 games, so he had those back-to-back knee injuries. So, I'm not going to include Mackenzie Martin. That was such a shame. We've spoken about it before. I was really excited when we signed Big Mac because I really thought he could make an impression, kick on, because I know he was messed around a bit at Cardiff. But just really cool that he never got a chance to show what he could do because of those injuries. So, signing of the season, like I said, we made some really good signings. Probably the best recruitment drive Dragons have ever made. So, hats off to Westy there, and of course Philo and Blumberg, etc. Gavin, let's start with you. Who's your Dragon signing this season?
Rob Hunt, no question for me. Love Finney and Nisi, but Rob Hunt give us solidity in the pack, actually give us a platform, and we looked a different side when he was in this. So yeah, Rob Hunt just miles ahead for me.
The fact he got injured to miss a lot of rugby at the end of the season, that doesn't influence the folk feel. No?
He was playing well up until the fact he smashed his knee. So or his back, or there's nothing he can do about that. So yeah, Rob Hunt's my sign of the season.
Got injured against the Ospreys, didn't he?
Yeah.
Where we had those props off. We would have beaten Ospreys in Bridgend if it wasn't for the prop situation. I really believe we should have won it, but that was another one that slipped away. Iestyn, I'm not saying that to be funny, Iestyn, but we should have won that game. We were the better team.
I agree. It's kind of summed up that middle block of the season for the Dragons, wasn't it? You had that, and then you had the Munster game, where those were the games where those defeats should have turned into wins, but they didn't. And my pick for signing of the season is Finney and EC. I did write down Rob Hunt, but I kind of felt like once Nisi came in, I thought, oh, he looks like a useful pickup. And it kind of felt like he got better and better. So that's my pick. And I think Rob Hunt is a very close second.
Yeah. Being NEC's been fantastic. Really nice guy. Gareth, your Dragons signing the season? Plenty to choose from, isn't it?
Oh, it genuinely is a real tough one, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
everyone's had their moments. Thomas Young's been great towards the end of the season. Wyn Jones has been good. The Generals added a lot. I think my top two though would be Anisi and Hunt. So like the boys, and I think I'll just edge for Rob Hunt because I think he sort of transformed us, just given us that platform, and because we weren't leaking pens at scrum time, we weren't giving teams easy ins, and I thought that made a big difference to us being able to stay in the fighting games. And I think we did miss him then. So yeah, Rob Hunt gets it for me, but great window. So really pleasing to see that we've actually had quite a few that we could have given it to.
I think for me, it's got to be Rob Hunt because when he got injured, I said on this pod, the scrum's going to go to shit now. And what happened?
That went to shit.
It did. We really struggled. No disrespect to any of the other props in the squad, but I think it's pretty clear and obvious Rob Hunt is the strongest scrummager. And that's just a fact. That's not even an opinion. That's a fact. He clearly is. And I was really worried he would have a negative impact. And unfortunately, it did, didn't it, I think. But then Dylan Lewis did do really well. Like when his first game back, he was awful. But then you think, well, you've had a lot of time off, mate. So, you got to give him slack. And Chris Coleman has struggled at times. He's had really good games. Then he had that injury. He has been playing when he hasn't been fit, the injections as well. So we got to be mindful of that.
That's the thing in it with us. We relied on Rob Hunt so heavily, and then he was out, Dylan was out, so we're pushing Coleman past the minutes any prop should be playing.
Yeah,
and he's playing with an injury, and you're like, how are you meant to be getting the best out of a player if he's playing injured? He's playing with without being able to go off. There was that game. I can't remember that game he got injured in and stayed on because Dylan Lewis was on the bench and he knew he wasn't fit.
Yeah.
And, you think, what a warrior. He's putting a hell of a shift for us.
Yeah.
You just think, I'm just hoping next season, I mean, you're always going to get injuries, but if we can keep the three of them relatively fit and be able to just give them the minutes, that they need and bring them off on 50 minutes and freshen it up when needed, we could see the best of all three of them then.
Yeah, and he had that injury in the Wales camp, didn't he, as well? Like his dad was telling me about it. So we have heavily relied on Chris Coleman a lot, haven't we? And even when he started being fit, and that's when we don't see the best of him then, which is a real shame. But for me, it's got to be Rob Hunt because something happened, which you can never say about the Dragons. When he played, the Dragons had a solid scrum. He did, didn't he? So yeah, Rob Hunt, superb pickup. Not a big name, came from Curry Cup. We liked the look of him. We knew he could scrummage. South African prop. He's bound to be able to scrummage, isn't he? To be fair.
Yeah.
So, Finney and Easy was very close, though.
Oh, I love
Iestyn. I think it's been so good. Our partnership with Anira Owen. He's a versatile player. You're going to have him as centre on the wing. I like him in the centre with Anira Owen because they just work so well together. I think he's been brilliant at EC. And again, nice guy.
It's just some players are just lovely to watch, and they.
Yeah,
and it's just he's just got that, and he's got one of the best songs on the terrace now. That'll catch on a bit more next season, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it won't be for the lack of trying, Gav.
Well, I'm fully aware of that.
Right then, moving on. Young player of the season. Is Shea Hope too old to be in this category?
Wow, I was going to ask this because the Dragons.
How old is he? Is he 22 or 23?
Well, he's in the senior squad where there's other players who have played who are in the senior academy. So I didn't know what we were calling the cut-off ourselves.
I think you could say he is.
But he is a youngster,
so,
he is a youngster.
Right, okay, so I'll stick with it then, because I put him in brackets. So, young player, just like I said, you don't have to go any of the names I suggest. I'm just giving you a guide. So, Shea Hope, Harry Bedell, Jordan Morris has done well, isn't he? Yeah, he's had his struggles of scrum time, but he's a very young prop. Owain James, only 20. To be fair, he came in and, he had to scrummage in some very difficult circumstances. He's one for the future. Harry Ackerman as well. He's still pretty young, isn't he? He's been all right for the Dragons. I can't think of anyone else, though. That's who I've got.
If you're saying Ackerman, is Woodman the same age as well?
Woodman is only 21.
Do you know what? I didn't even have him on my list for young player. I knew there was someone. I couldn't even think. I think, have I missed anyone? Ryan Woodman. Yeah, got to be Ryan Woodman. So, Shea Hope, Harry Bedell, Jordan Morris, Owain James, Harry Ackerman, or Ryan Woodman. Thank you for that, Gav. So, now you've added those players in the mix. It's hard now. Iestyn,
Woodman turned 22 in the season. I think that's still pretty young, isn't it?
right, we're sticking with that. Right, Iestyn, your young player of the season.
I had Bedell as I wasn't really sure what the age cutoff was, so I went with Bedell.
I don't think even I know the age category cut off now, I've done these myself. I've done these awards, and I'm not even sure myself what the criteria is. So, what are you going for, Harry Bedell?
Yeah, that'd be my pick. I'll stick
Excellent
with it.
choice. Excellent choice. Superb, wasn't he, Bedell? Gareth?
I mean, it's great having young players come through and genuinely looking quality, and I think Bedell's been amazing. But I think Ryan Woodman, it was easy that you didn't put him on the list of youngsters because he plays way beyond his years.
Yes.
He's quality, and he's got that call up. So really pleased for him. I do think there's more growth in his game as well. So I'll probably go for him. But I mean, then again, Shea Hope has just absolutely lit it up as well and been sort of transformational for us. I'll go with Woodman, but it could be any of them. They've done really well.
It's hard though, isn't it? When you add those players to the mix, it's hard. Gavin, your young player of the season?
Harry Bedell, because I think he came in as an academy signing.
Yeah.
He was meant to be playing for Vale, but
that's right.
Found himself in the Dragon side quite a lot and looked absolutely born to it. Huge amount of tackles, great at the jackal. And his power belies his size. So I was really impressed with him. But Shea Hope had a great season. When Woodman had a great season as well.
That's what you call taking your chance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really stepped up.
Absolutely. I'm going for Harry Bedell, I think, for the reasons you've just... I can't put any better than what you did there, Gavin, to be honest. Like I said, when he came into the squad, well, I think even Chris Kirvin reported that he was supposed to be playing more for Ebu than he was for us. Came in. He's a tackle machine. He's an absolute tackle machine. Like, whenever he played, he was making the most of the tackles. And yeah, he's small, but he makes up for it, I think. He's just an absolute menace at the breakdown. I hope to see him in a Wales shirt one day. I don't know if he will because of his size, but honestly, I think the work he does at the breakdown, he makes up for his lack of size. He's got a low sense of gravity. He gets really low down in the breakdown. He never looked out of place once, did he? Some young players, they struggle to make the step up, and Harry Bedell never ever looked out of his depth, or he never looked overawed.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he's fantastic, really good player. But like I said, I think Ryan Woodward would be terrific. Shea Hope. I think all the youngsters have done well, but for me, it's Harry Bedell. So yeah, I'm going with that. Right then, the big one. This is the big award of the evening, the Dragons Player of the Season. I've been changing my answers over the course of the past month as well. I found this one really difficult. So, honourable mentions, again, you don't have to select any of these, but I'll just give you a rough idea. Anira Owen, superb. Ben Carter has had his best season ever. And I was really, really proud when he stepped up to the Wales team, when Beard got dropped. And you had all those plastics and all the doubters saying that, Carter's crap and all this. And, we're going to miss Adam Beard for his work at the mall and all this. We never missed him. We never missed Adam Beard. And I like Adam Beard a lot. I'm not one of his critics. Like, some people hate Adam Beard. I don't. I've always liked him. I've always appreciated him. But people don't like him because he don't carry ball and he don't do this or that. But we never missed Adam Beard once. Ben Carter came in and he stepped up. And his partnership with Dav Jenkins was really, really good. And for me, that's what we need now going forward. I thought he was superb. Rio Dyer has had his best season, doesn't he? Like, the fact he's on the Wales squad, I don't know what more he can do. I don't know. It feels to me like Tandy just doesn't like him for whatever reason.
It's just enrages me, that.
I know, it just doesn't make sense. Feeney and EC, as we mentioned, superb. Rob Hunt, again, excellent. Wayno had a brilliant season. We haven't spoken much about Wainwright, but then he always does. He is going to leave a massive void in this team. And that's one of the reasons why I also think, I'm jumping too far ahead now, but it's one of the reasons why I do think Dragons are going to struggle next season is no Wainwright. He has been such a talisman for us for so long. And it's really difficult to imagine our Dragons team without him. But that's what we got to do now. So, that he is going to be such a loss. I don't think we're fully prepared yet for the loss of Wayno. I don't think we fully understand just how big a loss he's going to be. But we will next season. Trust me on that. We will all know. Bedell, brilliant. Brody Coughlin was great, wasn't he? Again, and can't get into the Wales squad. Doesn't make sense. He cannot get into the Wales squad. He's been so good.
He should be in the Wales. He's a quality player, isn't he?
Yeah. So there's plenty of players to choose from. So, Gareth, I'm going to start with you. Who is your Dragons player of the season?
For me, my all the ones you mentioned are deserving, and probably even more. My final two were Owen and Carter,
Yeah.
and I think because the consistent level that they perform at, they never ever drop off. Um, and I think I'll give it to Owen because he'd played more minutes for us this season. But they both, every time they took the field, were just at such a good level for us, and just absolutely love it. Two young local lads playing for the jersey, you can really see it. And yeah, Owen gets it for me. Love watching him.
Okay. Gavin, your Dragons player of the season, please.
And Aaron Owen as well, really. I think just because he stepped up, and him and Anisi go hand in hand for me, and he just edged it from Anisi for me. But I he was always a good player, but I think we used him in the wrong way. And now
Yes.
we with De Beer just hitting him on the line quite a lot, and he's finding gaps, and he defensively he's great and just
Oh yeah.
really a nuisance at the breakdown. So yeah, Naira Owen for me.
Okay, a lot of love for Iron Owen. Iestyn, do you have a different choice, or are you going to go for Iron Owen as well?
When I flicked through everything, I initially wrote down Angus O'Brien, but my mind
Yeah.
changed. I thought, oh, O'Brien's been really good, really consistent at fullback. Then I kind of looked back at it and I thought, I think I have to be Ben Carter, just one of those second rows who works at a ridiculous high level, and there's you can clearly see his kind of progression through into the international setup, and he didn't really look out of place,
Not
No.
at
and
all.
that's probably one of the biggest compliments you can get for a second row at that high level. So I thought, and then he kind of came back and almost replicated some of those performances in the latter part of the season. So that'd be my pick. I thought O'Brien was very close actually in my list, but
Mm,
I thought Ben Carter just about edges it.
good choice. Ben Carter is the most underrated and undervalued player in Welsh rugby. I've always said it. I'll continue to say it. Not appreciated by supporters of other regions, except for yourself yesterday, obviously. But yeah, Ben Carter. I thought that this was his best ever season for me. Ben Carter, absolutely superb. So for me then, yeah, Angus came very, very close. And the very fact that there was a conversation with Angus getting in the Welsh squad, and there were rumours of it actually happening. I remember on the Wales announcement, you must have heard these rumours as well yesterday. There were rumours that he'd been called up, but it wasn't. It was Harry Keddy instead, which nobody saw coming, who's again had a brilliant season. But Angus came very, very close. I do think this has been Angus's best ever season. And again, Ben Carter as well. I love Ben Carter. I've always spoken about my love for him on the pod. Rio Dyer has been brilliant, but I'm going to have to give it to an Iron Owen. Because for me, an Iron Owen is the glue of the Dragons midfield. And his partnership with Finney and Isi has been an absolute treat. And he's just better now in every department. So his defence is better. His kicking is better. He's going into contact a lot more. He looks more physical this season. I don't know whether the coaches have told him that's what he needs to work on, but he's going into contact a lot. He's carrying the ball. His inside passes. How many tries have we seen this season
Yeah.
that's come from an Iron Owen inside pass? He is such a classy player. And I think one of the reasons why he probably hasn't been called up for Wales is partly because of the fact he plays for the Dragons. I do wonder, and I've said this before on the pod, if he played for the Ospreys, would he have got a call up by now? Or if he played for Cardiff, he might have done. He has been in the Wales camp, but he's never actually got a cap. Is he big enough for international rugby? I don't know, but he's a very, very classy player at this level, and I think he's been superb. And it's no surprise that Iron Owen was also named Dragons Player of the Season at the awards evening, and he's also the second player to win the award back to back after Joe Bierman. Remember him?
Oof.
2007 and 2008. I think Iron's been absolutely brilliant, and we've said it all season, haven't we? He has been consistently brilliant. Whereas with Angus, he has been brilliant, but let's be honest, there has been some games where he's been a bit disappointing. He's made errors.
Yes, yeah.
He's made silly mistakes. And I think that's probably why he doesn't quite get my play of the season, because there were some silly errors that he made. But he had a brilliant season. But it's got to be an Iron Owen for me. Absolutely superb. So, yeah, there we go. An Iron Owen. Dragons play of the season. Our player of the season, I think. Right, one more question before we wrap up. It is a long one. I did say it was going to be a bumper pod. Sorry to keep you for so long yesterday. I know you probably already expected that. What to do? So we do have a tendency to overrun on this pod. I do apologize. I just want to know, what grade would you give the Dragon season? So I mean by grade, do you give it like, B minus, C plus, that sort of thing? And I want to know why. So I didn't tell you this. I sprung this on you. I know I didn't tell you this in the notes. Come on then, Gav, let's start with you. What would you grade this Dragon season and why?
Thing is, I guess if you've got that kid in school who's setting fire to things and can't learn anything, and then one day he's done a bit of colouring in, you do give him a pat on the back. And I think we're a little bit like that at the moment because we were such a shambles.
You're describing my teaching career there.
Do you know what? I genuinely, I think it's been a good season. I know, we've covered the caveats and the need to kick on from here, but we've made big strides. We're a team I can really enjoy supporting. I'm a team I can believe in going forward as well. I'm going to give us because of the cup run as well, I'm going to give us a B. It would have been higher if we could have got one more league point to finish with the Scarlets. But yeah, I'll give us a B.
Okay. Gavin, your teaching career now. What do you what would you grade the Dragons this season? What's your grade?
A C minus. We did some good things, but let's be realistic. We're side in Wales again and came 15th. So, and we've got to be realistic. There were positives in it, but not enough to be anything better than that for me.
Okay. Iestyn, what are you grading the Dragon season and why?
I've got a C plus. I think it's just kind of the switch in terms of just before Christmas, in terms of you kind of looked at that first part and you thought, oh, this doesn't look too good. And then you see the kind of everything kind of slowly coming together. You see the connection between players and supporters growing and growing game on game. And the performances getting better as well, which is the encouraging thing. Yes, you can look through and play a game of what if in terms of certain games where you're thinking, you could have taken a couple more points here, a couple of points there. But on the whole, and compared to the season previous, I think a C plus it would be my pick. But yeah, I can't better that analogy from Gareth. That was top notch.
It summed up the Dragons really well, didn't it? It did. You're a bit shit, but you're some colouring in. We know you're good at that. Just colour those bits in. But
only two pencils, so you're not to be trusted with more than two pencils.
My grade is C. Significant improvement on last season. We only won 2 games in all competitions last season. Disastrous. This season, 7 wins, 4 draws in all competitions. That's big improvement. We finally got the away monkey off our back, beating Seabra. Huge moment. Reaching the semi-finals, the European Cup, albeit Challenge Cup still. Big achievement for the Dragons. None of us saw that come in. After that woeful performance out in Perpignan, none of us thought we were going to get as far as the semi-finals. And our win over Stad, it is one of the biggest wins in the club's history. I don't care if it wasn't full strength Stad team. That was their choice. That was their decision.
You can only beat the team in front of you.
You can only beat the teams in front of you. Dragons are not responsible for the choices of the opposition and the team selection. I didn't give a shit. That was still a very good Stad team. They beat Cardiff, didn't they? They walloped Cardiff at the group stage with more or less the same team. So, that will go down in one of our more famous wins. But I am going to have to mark them down on the following things. So I got to mark them down for still can't beat Cardiff. That's a decade now. They still can't beat the South African team. And they're still bottom wash region. So those 3 things really mark them down. And that's what I want to see next season. I don't want them to be the worst team in Wales anymore. They need to beat Cardiff because it's embarrassing. And they need to beat the South African team because even the Scarlets have done that. And we haven't done it. And that is embarrassing. So, yeah, those are the reasons I marked down. But for me, it's a C. Because there has been significant progress made. But there is a hell of a lot of work to do, I think, still. And I think we needed stronger recruitment to make me more positive for next season. But that's another pod. Like I said, I got my doubts. If you're telling me this is our recruitment, if you're telling me you're not bringing in any more coaches, then I'm not optimistic for next season. Dragons need to do something in the off season now to make me soften my views, because at the moment I'm feeling a little bit pessimistic about next season. But like I said, we'll get into that when we do our season preview in a few months. Maybe something will have changed by then. I don't know. Maybe Dragons will make another signing or a couple of new appointments. But I'm waiting to see what the Dragons do in the off season, because if this is it, like I said, I'm not too impressed. Right, okay. I think that's it. It's been a long one, but we knew it was going to be a long one, didn't we? That is our last pod done. There we are. No more. I say no more until Gareth starts stalking people on LinkedIn and saying, "Oh, Ashton wants to come on the pod. I've just messaged him," or something like that. Because that's what I'm expecting now in the next few weeks. Hopefully. Are you going to be stalking? Yeah, you're going to be stalking more Dragons people, aren't you, Gareth?
I'll do my best.
Can you just leave it a few weeks? Because I do want my Sunday nights back now. I do want a bit of a break. That's all I'm saying. I think we all do. I think we all need a rest, because I'm a bit rugbyed out now. Like, seriously, I am feeling a bit rugbyed out. I just don't want to be thinking about Dragons or rugby for a little while. So, yeah, just hold off for time being, please. I think we can all do a rest. It's been a roller coaster season, isn't it? Iestyn, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Although we kept you a long time. Apologies for that. But I hope you enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed being with us?
Yes, thanks for the invite, first of all. And I have enjoyed it. And it's always good fun to be talking about rugby. And whenever someone gives me an opportunity, it's always very much appreciated.
Great to have you with us. Thank you. We appreciate that. Just before we go, I want to say thank you to a few people. I want to say thank you to the guests who have joined us on the pod this season. So we've had some really good guests. We had Ryan Price from the Sports Club join us. Rob Hunt, friend of the pod. He was nice, Garth, wasn't he? We liked him.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
Top draw.
Elgin Alderman from the Times. Really interesting guy. Very posh, but really nice guy. Newer stuff. Graham Bradbury, the Major League Rugby co-president. Good to have him on. Alid Brew.
Yeah, he was good.
No brew, no clue. He was quite good, wasn't he? I liked Alid Brew.
Yeah.
Dimitri Patruni, the Newport City Council leader. Great to have him on. And Ed Bridges as well. I want to thank from the 1912 Exiles pod for helping set up those pods that we did regarding Newport and County and the Dragons. Richie Reese, he was good.
He was very good.
Yeah, thank you, Richie, for coming on. Dan Crandon as well, Abbottleary coach and the co-host from The Wrap. Thank you, Dan. It was good to have you on. And of course, you as well, Iestyn. You're our last guest. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, that's it. Thank you to our friends at the Riverside Sports Bar for their ongoing support of the pod. We appreciate your sponsorship. It helps us out a lot. And thank you all for listening to us. The support you've shown us is quite nice. We're building a nice little community now, aren't we? You know, and it's nice to see. And it is strange that we've talked about it before, Gavin. People coming up to you, recognize you from the pod. It is a bit weird, but it's really nice because it shows people
lovely, yeah.
listening and they actually care. Because, like me and Gavin said, we didn't think anyone would want to listen to a Dragons podcast, but they do. They do. Even supporters of other clubs listen to us, so it's good. I want to thank anyone who's ever listened, watched us, subscribed, bought any merchandise. It's much appreciated. It's never easy talking about a team like the Dragons. I have a complicated love-hate relationship with this team. I make no secret of that. They drive me up the wall and they make me want to punch things. But that's sport, and that's what sport does to us. But I won't give up on this team. As much as I despise them at times and they annoy me, I won't give up on them. And I will renew my season ticket because I'm loyal and that's what I do. So, yeah, I'm going to sort my season ticket out. Maybe one day, all the years of misery that Dragon supporters have gone through, it'll be worth it one day. When we're lifting
a trophy.
We might actually win a trophy. We probably won't. We might even make the top 8. We probably won't. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe one day. So that's it, boys. Thank you very much, Gavin, Gareth. It's been a better season, isn't it? Let's be honest. We've had our frustrations with the Dragons. We're always going to have our frustrations with a team like the Dragons. But you've got to admit, we've done more victory pods than what we thought we were going to do. We did 7 victory pods for the Dragons. That's a lot.
I didn't even do one last year, a victory pod.
Yeah, you didn't even do one at all, did you?
It's an absolute joke.
I know.
It felt at one point, I was like, well, we're just awesome every week at the minute. What's there to say?
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's
But
been good.
Yeah. Gavin, have you enjoyed it? It's been all right, isn't it, this season?
It's been a much better season, you know. It needs to be even better again next season, but you know,
But that's the challenge.
We've had some good things to talk about, haven't we?
Yeah, that's the challenge. Can the Dragons kick on next season? That's the question. That's the big test, isn't it? So yeah, we're all done now. Like I said, thank you all again for listening to us. It's much appreciated. Riverside Sports Bar. I've done all the thank yous now. So until next time, take care, goodbye, and up the Dragons.